Chapter 26. Even if Ning Cheng's brain was more powerful, even if his memory and comprehension ability were unparalleled, with so much information pouring in, it was something that he was unable to adapt to. For a moment, Ning Cheng felt as if his brain was about to explode. It was simply unbearable. Fortunately, as time passed, he gradually figured out what was going on with himself. The place where he was standing seemed to be just a pearl. This pearl was called the mysterious yellow bead. The mysterious yellow bead was a heaven-splitting object. Its full name was the Fortune Creation Mysterious Yellow Bead. There were 4 other Dharma treasures of the same level: the Green Lotus of Creation, the Jade Disc of Creation, the Golden Page of Creation, and the Indestructible Axe of Creation. On the surface, the mysterious yellow bead had a total of 17 masters, and the one with the highest cultivation was called Changxiang. The reason why Changxiang's cultivation was the highest was because when Changxiang had obtained the mysterious yellow bead, he had just started cultivating, and had not even formed his foundation. When the other 16 people obtained the mysterious yellow bead, because they had already cultivated it to the small success level, as such they were unable to let the mysterious yellow bead truly recognize them as its master, nor could they truly enjoy the good fortune of the mysterious yellow bead. All they could get was the help of the mysterious yellow bead's unique mysterious yellow qi. The mysterious yellow bead was a world of its own, which could breed the mysterious yellow qi. When a cultivator cultivated within it, not only would it cleanse their spiritual wisdom and spiritual roots, but it would also automatically correct the deviation of the cultivator's cultivation method. Not only that, but his cultivation speed was also several times, even dozens or even hundreds of times faster than others. Furthermore, if one cultivated in the heaven and earth aura for a long period of time, one would be invincible among those of the same cultivation realm. Ning Cheng quivered, as he completely sobered up. He was extremely intelligent, so how could he not know what he had obtained? He had obtained the mysterious yellow bead that could breed mysterious yellow qi. He originally did not know what the mysterious yellow qi was, but now that a lot of information was pouring into his mind, it allowed him to clearly understand what the mysterious yellow bead was. No wonder the last time I took the test, my spiritual root changed from a muddy yellow color to a yellow color. It turned out to be because of the mysterious yellow qi. It is not spiritual qi at all. Ning Cheng's heart was filled with shock and ecstasy. He knew that this bead was definitely not an ordinary thing. The information that Ning Cheng received from the mysterious yellow bead was even more astonishing. He almost could not believe that he had such good luck. In addition to the previous effects of the mysterious yellow bead, it also had an even more powerful thing, and that was the mysterious yellow origin. If it was a person who had cultivated, and then obtained the mysterious yellow bead, then they would simply not be able to feel the mysterious yellow origin. Only a person who had never cultivated before would be able to obtain the mysterious yellow bead, and then let the mysterious yellow bead recognize them as its master. Only then would they be able to obtain the mysterious yellow origin. Because Ning Cheng had never cultivated before, he was able to obtain the approval of the mysterious yellow origin, although he still could not fully use the mysterious yellow origin, but he still became the first person that the mysterious yellow bead had truly recognized as its master. Although the mysterious yellow bead had experienced 17 people, but when they had obtained the mysterious yellow bead, the one with the lowest cultivation level was Changxiang, who was only at the qi refining realm. Because Changxiang was already in the qi refining realm, she was unable to obtain the mysterious yellow bead's origin. She could only use the mysterious yellow bead, but could not let the mysterious yellow bead truly recognize her as its master. I was originally the first master of the mysterious yellow bead, but I do not know if I will be the last. Ning Cheng muttered to himself. He was not very clear about the true meaning of the mysterious yellow origin. When that Changxiang obtained the mysterious yellow bead, he was only at the qi refining realm. He did not know if his qi refining realm was the same as his own qi gathering realm. Ning Cheng at this time completely forgot that he was still inside the mysterious yellow bead. He was only thinking about how to make full use of the mysterious yellow bead. If he had not obtained the information about being invincible within the mysterious yellow bead, then perhaps Ning Cheng would have blindly believed in the mysterious yellow bead. But there was another piece of information that made him somewhat disdainful of this information about being invincible within the same realm. Because the other 17 people who had obtained the mysterious yellow bead were all killed by others. If it was really invincible within the same realm, then how could it be killed by others? He believed that this piece of information about being invincible must have been left behind by the first person who had obtained the mysterious yellow bead, otherwise how could it be possible for someone to be invincible within the same realm, and at the same time be killed by others? Ning Cheng did not know that this piece of information was only obtained by him, because he was the first person to obtain the mysterious yellow bead's recognition as its master. When other people obtained the mysterious yellow bead, they thought that they were invincible within the same realm, not because of the information given by the mysterious yellow bead, but rather after absorbing the mysterious yellow qi, they naturally developed a confidence. Ning Cheng did not understand the meaning of the mysterious yellow origin, but it did not mean that he did not understand the meaning of cultivating within the mysterious yellow qi. The Ning clan's cultivation method obviously could not meet his needs. He wanted to use the mysterious yellow qi to find a more suitable cultivation method for himself. Or he could find a more advanced cultivation method, and then use the mysterious yellow qi to correct it. Ning Cheng began to search through the dense information in his mind. His original intention was to find a more suitable cultivation method for himself. It was reasonable to say that he was not the first person to obtain the mysterious yellow bead, as such there must have been some cultivation information left behind by the predecessors. But after half a day, Ning Cheng did not find any cultivation information. He only found a 6-character mantra for cultivation, mysterious yellow formless. Ning Cheng did not understand what mysterious yellow formless was. His comprehension ability was already incomparably heaven-defying. Coupled with the mysterious yellow bead's origin, he was able to understand it even more clearly. In just a short period of time, Ning Cheng figured out what mysterious yellow formless was, and what mysterious yellow formless was. He was so shocked that he almost stood up. Mysterious yellow formless meant that he could come into contact with any cultivation method, magical technique, and then through cultivating within the mysterious yellow bead, this cultivation method would become even more powerful. This point, Ning Cheng was already aware of it, but he did not feel anything. What really shocked Ning Cheng was the mysterious yellow formless. This was the real cultivation method of the mysterious yellow bead. The information of the mysterious yellow formless was that any cultivation method, not only did it vary from person to person, but it also varied according to time and place. A cultivation method was always changing. You could use the mysterious yellow bead to change the cultivation method, but you could not obtain a cultivation method that was constantly changing. A cultivation method that was constantly changing, this was the real heaven and earth way. It was also called the mysterious yellow formless. Only by possessing the mysterious yellow origin, could one obtain the real mysterious yellow formless. In other words, other than him who knew about the mysterious yellow formless, the rest of the people who obtained the mysterious yellow bead would only know about the mysterious yellow formless. Ning Cheng could no longer bear the shock in his heart. He stood up. Mysterious yellow formless, he simply did not need any cultivation method. This was simply a cultivation method without a cultivation method. As long as he wanted to cultivate, the mysterious yellow bead would automatically give him a cultivation direction and a cultivation realm. What he had to do was to absorb the spiritual qi, while at the same time cultivating according to the mysterious yellow bead. Ning Cheng had not cultivated before. His exposure to cultivation was not long, although he had cultivated to the qi gathering 4th level, but there was no one to guide him. If he had to say that there was someone guiding him, then the one guiding him would be the mysterious yellow bead. Even if he did not understand anything, he was very clear that the information obtained from the mysterious yellow bead was heaven-defying, and how terrible it was. Formless, what kind of cultivation method could achieve this? The mysterious yellow bead was so powerful. According to the information he had obtained before, wouldn't the other good fortune treasures be equally powerful? The only regret was that he could not use the mysterious yellow origin, and similarly could not use the mysterious yellow formless. Although he knew that there was the mysterious yellow formless, but he still had to cultivate it through other cultivation methods, that is, the mysterious yellow formless. Until one day he was able to comprehend the mysterious yellow origin, only then would he be able to understand the mysterious yellow formless. Even if it was the mysterious yellow formless, he would still be satisfied. Ning Qing suppressed the surprise and uneasiness in his heart, and began to look at the place he was at. At this time he discovered that the place he was at was not big, it was only a few kilometers in radius, and was surrounded by a yellow mist. How could he get out of this place? Ning Qing had just thought of going out, the next moment he was already standing in the reef cave where he was cultivating. Just like the last time when he woke up from studying the array formations, An Yi was still staring at him. But unlike the last time, An Yi's eyes were filled with shock. What happened a moment ago? Ning Qing and An Yi asked the same question at the same time. Ning Qing did not know that after he entered the mysterious yellow bead, what did An Yi see, and quickly spoke again, An Yi, what did you see a moment ago? You tell me. I saw that you had disappeared, and then I saw a pale yellow bead suspended in the place where you were. Then you appeared again, what is going on? An Yi asked in a panic. Ning Qing hesitated for a moment, but he still chose to believe An Yi, and spoke in a very dignified tone, An Yi, I obtained a bead, it should be the one that you saw a moment ago. This bead is very precious, once it is known by others, I will immediately be killed. So I think you should not tell anyone, even if it was your master. Ning Qing wanted to say that even if it was someone who had the same relationship with her master, she should not speak about it. But he immediately understood that the relationship between him and An Yi was far from the relationship between An Yi and her master. Besides, An Yi's master was already dead, even if An Yi wanted to say it, there was no place for her to say it. An Yi cautiously nodded and said, I know, big brother Ning, besides my master, you are the closest person to me, I will not tell anyone about it. Ning Qing was slightly relieved, and then said, I don't know how long I went into seclusion, but I did not feel hungry, I guess I was too hungry. Hey, An Yi, did you also advance to the Qi gathering 4th level? It was not until this time that Ning Qing discovered that An Yi had also advanced to the Qi gathering 4th level, just like him, spirit stones really were a good thing. An Yi finally showed a trace of a smile and said, yes, big brother Ning, I only used 3 spirit stones to advance to the Qi gathering 4th level. When I woke up from my seclusion, I saw a yellow bead in front of me. That's great, in the future when we have spirit stones to cultivate, our cultivation speed will definitely be faster. Ning Qing was pleasantly surprised, the effect of spirit stones was so good, he had more than 100 of them, why would he be afraid of not advancing? But you advanced to the Qi gathering 4th level, it seems that you used a lot of spirit stones. An Yi pointed to the spirit stone powder at Ning Qing's feet and said. Ning Qing discovered that his nearly 100 spirit stones were gone, he had used more than 100 spirit stones to advance from the Qi gathering 3rd level to the Qi gathering 4th level. Ning Qing was shocked in his heart, he did not have time to think about it, he hurriedly cultivated, he wanted to see if he could still cultivate without spirit stones. To his disappointment, without spirit stones, although he could still sense the mysterious yellow bead in his zifu, but he was unable to cultivate. What should I do? Ning Qing panicked, he knew that these more than 100 spirit stones were just a fluke. With so many spirit stones, he was only able to advance from the Qi gathering 3rd level to the Qi gathering 4th level, how would he cultivate in the future? This mysterious yellow bead was really fast, but the demand for spirit stones was just too terrible. An Yi suddenly said, Big brother Ning, I still have more than a dozen spirit stones, but I think we should leave this place first. When I saw the yellow bead before, there seemed to be some qi overflowing, I am afraid that if others knew about it, then. Ha ha. Sure enough, there really is something here. A loud laugh came, and then a man with a rusty face appeared at the entrance of the reef cave where Ning Qing and An Yi were. Chapter 27. Ning Qing could clearly see that this rusty-faced man was a cultivator at the Qi gathering 5th level, which was a level higher than him. This person's cultivation level was obviously much higher than Taoist Pu's. When Ning Cheng met Taoist Pu before, he still had some fear towards him, but the difference was that after seeing this person, Ning Cheng did not have much worry in his heart. After advancing to the Qi gathering 4th level, Ning Cheng felt that his strength had increased several times. This kind of strong and solid Qi gave Ning Cheng an inexplicable sense of confidence. "Where's the thing?" The man stood at the entrance of the cave and looked for a while, and immediately frowned and asked. Apparently he did not see what he was looking for. Not waiting for Ning Cheng to answer, he continued, "I just saw a yellow light rushing out from here. It should be the birth of a treasure. When I came here, I also heard you talking about the yellow bead. Where did you put the yellow bead?" Ning Cheng and an E were two people, but he did not even put them in his eyes. He could tell at a glance that Ning Cheng and an E had never experienced killing. Moreover, although the Qi gathering 4th level and the Qi gathering 5th level were both in the intermediate stages of the Qi gathering realm, but the difference in the degree of Qi concentration was not just a little bit. Ning Cheng did not even say half a word. He raised his hand and shot out 6 fire blades. When he was at the Qi gathering 3rd level, he could only shoot out 1 or 2 fire blades. Now that he was at the Qi gathering 4th level, he could instantly shoot out 6 fire blades. Not to mention that he could not reveal the fact that he had the mysterious yellow bead. Even if this rusty-faced man was so arrogant as to intrude into his territory, Ning Cheng would not show any mercy. The rusty-faced man did not think that a Qi gathering 4th level cultivator would dare to make the first move. Moreover, the speed of the fire blades was also very fast. He suddenly became furious. The next moment he chopped out a green long knife. The long knife brought out a green blade light. He wanted to block Ning Cheng's fire blades. In his opinion, Ning Cheng was only a Qi gathering 4th level cultivator. Wanting to injure him with a fire blade was simply a dream. The more Ning Cheng's fire blades chopped out, the more their power would decrease. Bang bang. 3 consecutive explosions sounded. 3 of Ning Cheng's 6 fire blades were directly chopped down by the rusty-faced man's long knife, exploding into flames. These flames hit the walls of the reef cave, smashing rocks everywhere. This rusty-faced man had thought that his blade light would be able to easily block Ning Cheng's 6 flame edges, but he did not expect that it would only be able to block 3 of them. After the 3 fire blades were blocked, his blade radiance immediately converged. The remaining 3 fire blades directly passed through the blade radiance and arrived in front of him in an instant. The rusty-faced man did not think that a cultivator at the Qi gathering 4th level would be able to use a fire edge to pass through his blade light. Fortunately, he had been around the Mingat Sea for many years, and had experienced a lot of things. Although the situation was dire, he did not panic. He only twisted his body a few times, and the 3 fire blades strangely slid past his body. When Ning Cheng saw the stature of this man, he immediately knew that his combat experience was far inferior to the other party. From the power of the flame edge a moment ago, it could be seen that his Qi was not inferior to that of the man at the Qi gathering 5th level. It could even be said that it was a lot stronger. This rusty-faced man had a rich combat experience, so when he discovered that Ning Cheng's cultivation was not inferior to his own, he immediately retreated, wanting to completely withdraw from the reef cave. For him, it was more advantageous to fight outside the reef cave. Even now, he did not put Ning Cheng in his eyes. When Ning Cheng saw the man retreat, he was shocked in his heart. He was not afraid of fighting with this man, but he was afraid that this man would escape. Once this man escaped, and he did not catch up with him, it would not be a good thing. At this time, Ning Cheng did not care about anything else. He directly grabbed the flying sword from his storage bag. Holding the flying sword in his hand, he circulated his Qi and chopped down with the sword. He did not know how to use a flying sword. Moreover, the flying sword was not refined. He could only use the flying sword as an ordinary weapon. Flying sword artifact. When the man at the Qi gathering 5th level saw Ning Cheng take out the flying sword, he immediately called out in horror. There were countless cultivators who survived in the Mingat Sea, but there were only a few who actually had an artifact. Even if there were, it was accumulated over many years, or it was owned by a big family or some people with unusual backgrounds. Because the owner of the flying sword in Ning Cheng's hands had already fallen, even if Ning Cheng did not refine it, but with the qi gathered, it still brought out a sword light that was nearly 10 feet long. The rusty-faced man panicked, and hastily used the long knife in his hand to block. If he knew that Ning Cheng had a flying sword artifact, he absolutely would not have fought with Ning Cheng in close combat, and would also not have rushed into the cave. This time his experience deceived him. In his view, Ning Cheng and an Yi were wearing ordinary clothes, moreover they were hiding in a reef cave. They were definitely two people who did not know the immensity of the heavens and the earth, and wanted to come here for an adventure. He did not think that such a person would be able to take out a flying sword artifact, moreover it was a very high-level artifact. Ding dang, a sound was heard, the long knife was like a brittle jade, it was directly cut in half by the flying sword light. But the sword light was not even the slightest bit affected. Almost at the same time as the long knife was cut in half, the man was also cut in half. An Yi did not have any fighting experience. It was not until Ning Cheng killed the opposite party, that she came to her senses. She was not able to help at all. Ning Cheng did not speak to an Yi, he put away all the gold coins in the man's bag, and a few fireballs directly turned the man into flying ash. Then he threw the flying ash into the sea outside the reef cave, and said to an Yi, "Let's hurry up, this is not a place to stay for a long time." After a few fireballs turned the man into flying ash, Ning Cheng was finally able to truly feel the improvement of his own cultivation. If he was at the qi gathering 3rd level, his fireballs would definitely not be able to turn this man into flying ash. Okay. An Yi also knew that they had to leave this place as soon as possible. After the two of them left the reef cave, they ran all the way. After more than an hour, Ning Cheng slowed down and said, "It's okay, now we are just like the rest of the people who come to the Mingat Sea." Ning Cheng's confidence greatly increased. He was sure that his cultivation level would not be lower than the qi gathering 6th level. What he lacked was combat experience. Of course, he still lacked the necessary trump card. An Yi then said, "Big brother Ning, your cultivation method is much more powerful than mine. You are only at the qi gathering 4th level, but the might of your magic techniques is even more powerful than that of a person at the qi gathering 5th level." An Yi did not have any fighting experience, but it did not mean that she did not notice. Ning Cheng once again took out the flying sword and looked at it and said, "Fortunately I have this flying sword type artifact, otherwise even if I was not afraid of him, I would not have been able to kill that guy." It seems that equipment is still very important. An Yi did not understand what Ning Cheng meant by equipment. She pointed to the flying sword in Ning Cheng's hands and said, "This flying sword of yours should be a good artifact, but it is not yours yet. You should refine it, this way you can display its greatest power. My master said that after you have developed a spiritual sense, you can control the flying sword to attack the enemy. You can also use the flying sword to fly." Regarding spiritual sense, Ning Cheng actually understood. It was also known as spiritual sense. In other words, his spiritual sense was the embryonic form of spiritual sense. An Yi said that he could use the flying sword, but it was only after he reached the essence building realm. Only after he reached the essence building realm, would he be able to release his spiritual sense in a wide range. Of course, some of the more powerful cultivators in the true condensation realm, would be able to release their spiritual sense. But because their spiritual sense was still weak, they would not be able to drive the flying sword to fly, and would also not be able to use the flying sword to attack the enemy. Ning Cheng nodded, he deeply agreed with An Yi's words and said, "An Yi, you are right, I will now find a place to refine the flying sword. Now my biggest task is to find a pile of spirit stones, so that I can continue to level up. Maybe one day in the future, I will be able to go back." "Big brother Ning, the purpose of your cultivation is to go back to your hometown?" An Yi listened to Ning Cheng's words, and asked in a puzzled manner. "Of course." Ning Cheng nodded without hesitation, and then asked An Yi, "What is the purpose of your cultivation?" An Yi was silent for a moment, and then shook her head and said, I do not have a purpose in cultivation, master taught me how to cultivate, so I just cultivated. What about your master? Ning Cheng asked again. Master said that she wanted to pursue a higher realm. If master could advance to a higher realm, then she would not have died. When an Yi spoke about her master, her face turned gloomy. Ning Cheng was also silent. His purpose was to go back to see Roalan, but he was very clear in his heart, that his purpose may not be achieved in this lifetime. The mysterious yellow bead was indeed heaven-defying, but the amount of spirit stones needed for cultivation was also heaven-defying. If one day, he could not find these spirit stones that would allow him to advance, then he might also end up like an Yi's master, and pass away in obscurity. Seeing Ning Cheng silent, an Yi suddenly said again, Big brother Ning, my master said, if you work hard, then there is still a chance, if you do not work hard, then there will be no chance. It is because I listened to my master's words, that I went out to look for the heaven-scented precious zoysia. Although I did not find it, at least I tried. When Ning Cheng heard an Yi's words, he sobered up from his daze. Yes, he had a higher destiny than others, and even obtained the mysterious yellow bead. If he was not willing to work hard, then how could he always have such good luck in the future? Now he woke up, and he did not know the difficulty of looking for the heaven-scented precious zoysia. It was not that she did not know that the place she was looking for was not right, but with her ability, she could only reach those places. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng once again regained his strong confidence. He reached out and grabbed An Yi's hand and said, An Yi, thank you, I must work hard. The moist sea breeze and the sound of the waves blew into the Mingot city. The Mingot city was as bustling and lively as ever. This was the largest city in the Mingot Sea, and was also the largest place for cultivators to come and go. But this bustling city had some indifference. The people coming and going were all in a hurry, and their expressions were serious and cold. Although many of the adventurers and cultivators, in order to get a higher income, brought the things they obtained back to the inland cities to sell, but there were still many people, who were not willing to travel far, and directly sold the things they obtained from the Mingot Sea and the Mingot City. These kinds of people who lived in the Mingot Sea for many years, were called Old Mingot by others. At this time in the bustling and lively Mingot City, a man and a woman arrived. The man looked very young, his face was slightly thin, but looked like it was carved with a knife. His eyes were extremely bright, and at the same time his expression was calm and natural, just like an old Mingot. His long black hair was slightly messy, scattered around his ears, and looked very casual. The woman beside him was half a head shorter than him. She looked extremely delicate and pretty, like a water lotus. Although her long hair wasn't exposed, the white scarf on her head made her look even more otherworldly and refined. Chapter 28. The ones who entered the Mingot city were obviously An Yi and Ning Cheng. After Ning Cheng spent some time refining the flying sword, he directly brought An Yi to the Mingot city. Although using the mysterious yellow bead to cultivate was good, but the amount of spirit stones required was dozens of times that of An Yi, and this was just the beginning. So even if he had the mysterious yellow bead, Ning Cheng was still somewhat worried about his own cultivation. Big brother Ning, this place is very prosperous. An Yi had been living in the Blue Heart Nunnery, and rarely saw such a bustling city like the Mingot city. This was also the first time that Ning Cheng came to this kind of cultivation city, although the prosperity of the Zhanglu city was not weaker than the Mingot city, but compared to the Mingot city, it was two different kinds of prosperity. In contrast, the current Ning Cheng preferred the Zhanglu city. In the Zhanglu city, there was also the high and mighty Zhangqin royal family, as well as the Zhangqin two-star academy. Even if the Zhanglu city paid particular attention to the law of the jungle, but basically the laws of the Zhangqin province were still respected. Although the status of the mortals was low, the mortals and the cultivators were still in balance. The Mingot city was different. This was the first time that Ning Cheng came to the Mingot city. He could already feel that there was no unified force here. He could feel that there were many forces in the Mingot city. In this place, it should be the real law of the jungle, where the strong speak. Auction, Mingot auction. A thin girl holding dozens of brochures in her hands called out, while waving the brochures in her hands, "This auction has artifacts, and high-level pills. The most important thing is that there is a map to the Lansha Island." Ning Cheng did not intend to participate in the auction. He now only had a few gold coins. He did not have any other good things. Going to this auction, even if he had a lot of gold coins, it would not be of much use, not to mention that he did not have many gold coins. The two seniors should have just arrived in the Mingot city. "I not only have the map of the Mingot city, but also the introduction of the major forces in the Mingot city. The price is not expensive, only 50, no, only 30 silver coins." When this girl saw Ning Cheng and an E come over, she immediately came up to promote her own things. Her eyes were very sharp. With a glance she could see that Ning Cheng and an E did not come to the Mingot city often, nor were they in the Mingot Sea. Ning Cheng took out a gold coin and handed it to the girl and said, "Okay, you can help me get a copy of this diagram. You don't have to keep the change for the rest of the silver coins, just give me a copy of the brochure for the auction." The little girl, on seeing Ning Cheng's generosity, quickly grabbed the gold coins, while simultaneously took out 2 books and stuffed them into Ning Cheng's hands. Her speed was incomparably fast. While Ning Cheng was puzzled, she had already gone far away. When Ning Cheng saw the rest of the people rushing over to sell the manuals, he immediately understood that the sale of manuals in this place also had its competition. "Wait a minute, I will first find a place to stay," Ning Cheng said to an E, while pulling an E to the side of the street. Although he was not a rich man on earth, he did not have a fixed residence outside. After coming to this place, Ning Cheng had not been able to find a safe place to sleep. Now that he had arrived at the Mingot city, in any case, he would first stay here for a period of time, and understand the situation. Of course, he couldn't just find a random hotel to stay in. At the very least, he had to know which hotel was better. Of course, an E would not have any opinion. Ning Cheng opened the map of the Mingot city. It was clearly marked with a few major forces. The first was the Mingot Association, which was the largest organization in the Mingot city. They controlled more than 50% of the transactions in the Mingot city, and had many experts. The second was the Wolf Palace, and the third was the Hohai village. Ning Cheng had just looked at the front a little bit, when he felt someone standing in front of him and an E. Ning Cheng looked up and saw a young woman wearing a red dress, and was at the Qi gathering second level. This red-robed woman was quite beautiful, and on her side stood 2 equally beautiful female companions. Looking at the attire of these 2 female companions, they should be the maids of this red-robed woman. "Did you just arrive in the Mingot city?" The red-robed woman pointed at Ning Cheng, and bluntly asked. Ning Cheng was slightly uncomfortable in his heart. Whether he had just arrived or not, what did it have to do with her? Facing this red-robed woman, Ning Cheng always felt a little uncomfortable. "Yes, my cousin and I just arrived in the Mingot city." Ning Cheng calmly cupped his fists and replied. He was very clear that in the Mingot city, he could not afford to offend anyone. "Oh, is this your cousin?" The red-robed woman glanced at an E. At this time Ning Cheng could see, the reason why this red-robed woman was standing here and talking to him was because of an E. Not waiting for Ning Cheng to answer, the red-robed woman once again said, "I like your cousin very much. I am from the Hohai village. Let your cousin go with me. I won't mistreat her." Ning Cheng immediately frowned and said, "I'm sorry, my cousin will not go with anyone. We can support ourselves. If your cousin does not come with me, you will not be able to support yourself." The red-robed woman did not think that Ning Cheng would dare to talk back, and immediately said with a cold snort. But then she thought that Ning Cheng should have just arrived in the Mingot city, and did not know how terrible the Hohai village was. Ning Cheng held back his anger. He knew that the Mingot Sea area, the Mingot city, was not a good place, but he did not think that he had just arrived here, and someone even wanted to take away an E. "Lu Yan, these 2 people should have just arrived in the Mingot city. Isn't it not good for you?" Ning Cheng had not yet spoken, when a calm voice interrupted from the side. An E, who was on the side, heard someone come out to help her, and was slightly relieved. To let her leave Ning Cheng, she absolutely would not do that. Moreover, from the eyes of the red-robed woman, she saw something that made her feel uncomfortable, which made her feel a little scared. Ning Cheng also saw the person who came over. It was a young man wearing a luxurious robe. His eyes had a trace of cyan around them, and he looked incomparably thin. But his cultivation level was higher than the red-robed woman called Lu Yen. He was already at the Qi-gathering 3rd level. Behind him, there was also a servant, whose cultivation level was at the Qi-gathering 6th level. The red-robed woman called Lu Yen immediately retorted, "Miao Wen Hong, don't think that I don't know what you want to do, every time you want to fight with me. Last time I let you have her once, this time I will absolutely not let you have it. Last time you forcibly took away that girl. I'm afraid that you have already ruined her." Miao Wen Hong coldly snorted, "That girl is now living a good life in the Wolf Palace. What do you mean by ruined? You taking people back with you is called ruined. You are a woman, yet you want to play with other women. If this is not ruining, then what is it?" Hearing Miao Wen Hong's words, Lu Yen became even angrier. The two of them immediately quarreled. Ning Cheng came to understand, these two people were not good people. He pulled an E and said, "An E, let's go, this is not a good place. Since you are already here, don't be in such a hurry to leave." Seeing Ning Cheng leave, Miao Wen Hong, who was still quarreling with Lu Yen, immediately stopped Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng looked around. Unexpectedly there were only a few people watching the lively scene. Even if there were people watching the lively scene, they were only sneaking a glance. It could be seen that these two people were showing off their strength in the Mingot city. Ning Cheng suppressed the killing intent in his heart, and slowly said, "I and the two of you are strangers, don't tell me that this Mingot city can only be entered and not exited." Saying this sentence, Ning Cheng was already thinking about how to rush out of the Mingot city. That servant at the Qi-gathering 6th level would not be able to stop him. At the same time he also planned to kill this Miao Wen Hong and Lu Yen. Now that he had just entered the city, he still had the opportunity to rush out. With the temperament of Miao Wen Hong and Lu Yen, even if he did not kill them, these two people would not let them go. It would be better to simply kill them. Since he had already offended them, then he would offend them. There was no need to be timid. "You really are right. If I do not let you go, then you will not be able to leave. Leave the woman at your side, and then you can go out by yourself." Miao Wen Hong's tone was still not hurried nor slow, but that kind of aloof and unquestionable tone was already revealed. "Oh, then what if I say that the two of them can leave?" Another voice came. This time there were 4 people, 3 men and 1 woman. The one who spoke was the man in the front wearing a light blue robe. Ning Cheng had already noticed that these 4 people were wearing the same logo on their chests. It was clear that these 4 people came from the same place. He did not speak. In the Mingot city, the forces were complex. He was not sure if this person was speaking to help him. Chapter 29. What made Ning Cheng shocked was that among these 4 people, the one with the lowest cultivation level was at the Qi-gathering 6th level, while the one with the highest cultivation level was the blue-robed youth, who was at the Qi-gathering 8th level. The age of these 4 people was not much older than him, but the cultivation level of these 4 people was far beyond him and an E. "Who do you think you are? Daring to speak to me like that in the Mingot city?" When Miao Wen Hong heard these words, his anger immediately flared up. In the Mingot city, there were actually people who dared to speak to Miao Wen Hong in such an arrogant manner. Did they not know that Miao Wen Hong was the young master of the Wolf Palace? "San Pai, kill him." Miao Wen Hong did not even finish his angry words, and immediately instructed the servant behind him to kill the guy who had just spoken. In the Mingot city, he, Miao Wen Hong, killed a person. It was as simple as pinching an ant. Miao Wen Hong was completely irrational in his anger, but that did not mean that his servant was also irrational. Hearing Miao Wen Hong's unreasonable command, the servant behind Miao Wen Hong quickly came forward and whispered in his ear, "Young Master Wen Hong, they are the people from the Ping Continent's Clear Heart 3-Star Academy. Look at the badges on their chests. this servant called Sanpai had already seen it clearly, the lowest cultivation level of these people was not worse than him. Not to mention that he could not beat them, even if he could beat them, he could not afford to provoke them. Hearing the old servant's reminder, Miao Wenhong immediately reacted. He had certainly heard of the Clear Heart 3-Star Academy. Just now he was infuriated by the words of the blue-robed youth, so he spoke without thinking. Although the Wolf Palace was powerful, but it was only a small part of the Mingot City and the Mingot Sea. Even in the entire Mingot Sea, the Wolf Palace was nothing. Not to mention compared to the Clear Heart 3-Star Academy. The Clear Heart 3-Star Academy belonged to the Ping Continent's Mingyi country, even if this academy did not have any relationship with the Mingyi country. A 3-Star Academy was not something that the Mingot City could do, not to mention the trivial Wolf Palace. Ning Cheng at this time also saw clearly, the four people's badges on their chests were engraved with the words Clear Heart 3-Star Academy. Below these words, there was also a very dazzling star. Seeing the expressions of these four people, Ning Cheng secretly sighed in his heart, thinking that this 3-Star Academy was really awesome. Even the students who came out were so tough. This was the benefit of having a backer. It seemed like he would have to find a big school to rely on someday. However, when Ning Cheng thought about his spiritual root, he immediately dispelled this idea. With his spiritual root, even if it was a 1-Star Academy, it would be very difficult for him to enter, not to mention an advanced academy. Moreover, Ning Cheng did not dare to go in. His spiritual roots were constantly improving along with his cultivation. Once his spiritual roots improved to a certain extent, then wouldn't he be discovered by others? So it turns out to be the 4 elder brothers from the Starry Sky Academy. This one Hong is very polite. I was blind a moment ago, please forgive me. This Miao Wenhong was also flexible. After understanding that these 4 people were from the Clear Heart Academy, he immediately changed to a smiling face. The blue-robed youth who had spoken before raised his hand and slapped out. Miao Wenhong simply did not think that he would be slapped in the face. Or rather, even if he had thought of it, he wouldn't have been able to avoid this slap. With that, he was sent flying, spitting out more than 10 teeth and a mouthful of blood. How domineering! The people who were secretly watching all sucked in a breath of cold air. The Mingot City's Wolf Palace's young master Wenhong was sent flying like a piece of garbage. Lu Yen reacted in a flash. She immediately smiled and came forward to greet the blue-robed youth. Lu Hohai Village's Lu Yen greets elder brother. Elder brother, is the Clear Heart 3-Star Academy far away? You are really amazing, to be able to cultivate in that kind of academy. Lu Yen is very envious. While speaking, Lu Yan's face was filled with worship and admiration. She could not wait to take out an autograph book and let the opposite party sign it. The blue-robed youth's attitude towards Lu Yan and Miao Wenhong was completely different. When he heard Lu Yan's words, he immediately smiled, and his face eased up. The Clear Heart 3-Star Academy is not far, but it is also not close. It depends on how you get there. If you want to use a beast carriage to get there, then I am afraid it would be very difficult. Lu Yan, can I take the liberty to ask elder brother's name? I am really looking forward to going to the Clear Heart 3-Star Academy. The worship on Lu Yan's face was getting stronger and stronger. My name is Lu Buhong. If you want to go to the Clear Heart 3-Star Academy, it is not impossible. After a year, our Clear Heart 3-Star Academy will be recruiting students from all over the Ping continent. You can still try it out. The blue-robed youth's tone was getting more and more gentle. It seemed that he did not even make a move a moment ago. Lu Yan was immediately pleasantly surprised and said, Elder brother Lu, this is really great. I must let my father take me there to have a look. Right, elder brother Lu, you and the other 2 elder brothers and an elder sister have just arrived at the Mingot City. You must be very tired. If you do not mind, you can go to my Hohai village to rest. I can also follow behind you and learn a thing or two. Lu Buhong waved his hand and said, there is no need to go to the Hohai village, we will go to the rest stop. Lu Yan's face showed a strong disappointment. she seemed to think of Ning Cheng and an E. She quickly put on a smile and walked in front of an E and said, "This younger sister, would you like to help me persuade elder brother Lo, and then you can also come to my Hohai village." Lu Yen did not speak to an E, so Lo Buohong did not see an E, but now that Lu Yen spoke, Lo Buohong immediately noticed an E. His eyes suddenly lit up. This young girl was really too pretty. Ning Cheng sneered in his heart, how could he not understand Lu Yan's trick? Lo Buohong's attitude towards her and Miao Wenhong was completely different. It showed that Lo Buohong liked to treat women with kindness, or rather, he liked women. She let an E go to the Hohai village, so that Lo Buohong could find an excuse to get close to an E, and then they could all go to the Hohai village together. Of course, this was based on the fact that Lo Buohong liked an E. If Lo Buohong did not like an E, then she would just be a blind person. Ning Cheng did not wait for Lo Buohong to speak, and shouted at Lu Yen, "Get lost, trash." Lo Buohong forcibly swallowed the words, "Why don't we go to the Hohai village together," and looked at Ning Cheng with a puzzled expression. He did not understand why Ning Cheng was so angry. Ning Cheng ignored Lu Yan's face, and cupped his fists towards Lo Buohong and the others and said, "Many thanks to this friend for your help." Lo Buohong had already recovered. He had seen that there seemed to be some contradiction between Ning Cheng and Lu Yan, but he did not think that Ning Cheng would actually tell Lu Yan to get lost. Now that Ning Cheng thanked him, he also cupped his fists and said, "It's just a small matter, it's not worth mentioning. I haven't asked for this friend's name, so that we can have a drink together. My name is Ning Cheng. Just now my cousin and I were bitten by 2 mad dogs in the Mingot city. Now I do not want to continue to stay here. Brother Li's help today, this Ning will remember it." Ning Cheng did not want to have a deep friendship with these people, and quickly cupped his fists and refused. He had already offended Miao Wenhong and Lu Yen here. He was not a fool. Why would he continue to stay here? Besides, these students from the Clear Heart 3-Star Academy did not seem to be easy to get along with. The worst cultivation level was at the Qi Gathering 6th level. He simply could not compare to them. Hearing that Ning Cheng was not willing to go with them, Lo Buohong's eyes flashed with disappointment. He inadvertently glanced at an E, and then smiled and said to Ning Cheng, "Brother Ning, the Clear Heart 3-Star Academy will be recruiting students from the entire Ping continent in a year. With the elegance of Brother Ning and your cousin, if you can enter the Clear Heart Academy, you will certainly be able to go to the next level." Ning Cheng certainly wanted to participate in the recruitment, but unfortunately his spiritual root was too poor. However, if an E had the opportunity, staying in the Clear Heart Academy would be much better than following him around. Fortunately, this matter was still early, and besides, he still had to seek an Yi's opinion. Thinking till here, he once again said, "Thank you Brother Lo, next year if I have the opportunity, I will definitely go to the Clear Heart Academy to try my luck. Today I will be leaving first, goodbye." "Good, next year I will be waiting for Brother Ning at the Clear Heart Academy," Lo Buohong said with enthusiasm, but unfortunately an E never said a word, nor did she even look at him. Miao Wenhong was beaten to the point that his mouth was full of blood. With the help of his servant, he did not even dare to say half a word. He could only helplessly watch Lo Buohong leave. Even if it was Ning Cheng and an E, he did not dare to come forward and talk nonsense. Lu Yen was also staring at the backs of Ning Cheng and an E. She swore that she would definitely kill Ning Cheng without a doubt. Ning Cheng and Lo Buohong said their goodbyes, and took an E to the Mingot city to help him and an E buy more than a dozen sets of clothes, and also bought a few maps of the Mingot Sea, and then hurriedly left the Mingot city. After experiencing these things, Ning Cheng was very clear, that the Mingot city was not a place where he could live, at least not now. "Big Brother Ning, that Lu Yen is so enthusiastic, why do I always feel uncomfortable looking at her? Since she wanted to invite me, why did she threaten my big brother?" An E did not understand the ways of the world. For this kind of complex interpersonal relationship, she could not understand it at all. Ning Cheng sneered and said, "That woman is a piece of glass. A piece of glass is fine, but unexpectedly she is an arrogant piece of glass." "What is a glass?" An E did not understand. Ning Cheng waved his hand and said, you don't need to know about these things, that Luobuhong is not simple, staying in the Mingot city will not bring us any benefits, let's go somewhere else. With Luobuhong's identity, he could have killed Miao Wenhong, but he unexpectedly endured it, and only slapped Miao Wenhong in the face. It could be seen that this person was not as straightforward as he appeared on the surface. He should have known that killing Miao Wenhong would not be a problem, but there would be some troubles. Ning Cheng and an Yi rushed all the way. After half a day, they had already left the Mingot city far behind. Ning Cheng was still thinking about what Luobuhong and the others wanted to do in the Mingot Sea. The Mingot Sea was a gathering place for rogue cultivators. Some of the people with status came here to gain experience. In Ning Cheng's view, if Luobuhong did not have any important matter, then he would definitely kill that Miao Wenhong. Are the two friends going out to sea? A hearty voice called out to Ning Cheng and an Yi from afar. Chapter 30. Along with this hearty voice, there was a burst of hurried hoofbeats. You let me eat such a big loss, and still want to leave? Miao Wenhong's voice was almost roaring. It could be seen that his hatred for Ning Cheng was very deep. The boatman who was greeting Ning Cheng and an Yi with the intention of calling out for business, when he saw the horned stone howling beast and Miao Wenhong riding on it, his complexion suddenly changed. He did not even ask Ning Cheng a second sentence, he turned around and walked away. In just a short time, he rushed to the seaside reef pier on the boat. The next moment, the boat weighed the anchor and entered the vast sea. Ning Cheng did not care about the boatman. He was surprised that Miao Wenhong actually dared to chase after them. Miao Wenhong not only chased after them, but he only brought a Qi-gathering 6th level servant with him. He did not bring anyone else. With just 2 people, did they think they could eat him and an Yi? He could kill a cultivator at the Qi-gathering 5th level, so he was not afraid of a cultivator at the Qi-gathering 6th level. Ning Cheng certainly did not know that the mysterious yellow Qi could cleanse the meridians in defiance of the heaven. For a cultivator at the Qi-gathering 6th level, to kill 2 cultivators at the Qi-gathering 4th level, it was really not difficult. Not to mention that in the eyes of Miao Wenhong and his servant, Ning Cheng and an Yi were lambs to be slaughtered. They did not have even half a bit of fighting experience. San Pai, first cripple this bastard, I will slowly let this kid understand. Miao Wenhong had not yet arrived, but was staring at Ning Cheng while gnashing his teeth. Obviously in his view, today he had lost face in the Mingot city, all because of Ning Cheng. San Pai was a very loyal servant. He seemed to understand the meaning of his young master's words. He had not yet arrived in front of Ning Cheng, when he immediately flew up from his one-horned beast, and simultaneously swept out a white blade light towards Ning Cheng. This white blade light swept towards Ning Cheng's feet. It seems that he really did not want to kill Ning Cheng. This was an artifact. Ning Cheng felt the blade light coming towards him. He immediately understood. Before, when he was fighting with the rusty-faced man at the Qi-gathering 5th level, the other party was using an ordinary weapon, although the grade was not low, but a weapon and an artifact were simply not the same concept. San Pai was just a servant, but he had an artifact on his body. It seems that Miao Wenhong had even more good things on him. Ning Cheng did not even think about it. At the same time as the white light streaked over, his flying sword had already fallen into his hands, and he immediately used the same sword light to chop it down. San Pai did not think that Ning Cheng would dare to make a move. A trivial ordinary sword actually dared to block his artifact. This was simply courting death. But San Pai's idea was completely shattered by the harsh sound of the collision. The sword in Ning Cheng's hands was not like what he had imagined. It was not like it was broken into pieces like tofu, but rather the huge sword light that was emitted from the sword light had completely smashed apart his blade light. A powerful true Qi backlash came. San Pai felt as if his chest had been hit by a huge hammer. Not good. This kid had concealed his cultivation. He was definitely at the Qi-gathering 6th level. Moreover, his foundation was very deep. His Qi was not even half a bit worse than his own. San Pai was pushed back a few steps by the formidable backlash, but at the same time he understood that Ning Cheng was not only not at the Qi-gathering 4th level, but also that the artifact in his hands was much higher than his own artifact. Sanpai and Ning Cheng had only exchanged blows for a moment, but from Ning Cheng's ferocious attacks and Ning Cheng's initiative to pounce on him, he knew that if he could not beat him today, then he and his young master would definitely be killed by this person. This was an extremely daring cultivator. It seemed that he did not even consider the consequences of killing his young master. Ice. Fire. Sanpai saw that Ning Cheng was not affected even half a bit. Moreover, he once again sent out a sword light. He suddenly felt surprised in his heart. He no longer cared about anything else. He raised his hand and took out a talisman from his body. At the same time he stimulated his chi. The blade in his hands immediately brought out two different colored blade lights. One side was ice, the other side was fire. The two different blade lights wrapped around Ning Cheng's sword light. Ning Cheng suddenly felt his chi stagnate. He felt that regardless of whether he gathered his chi to block the fire light or block the ice light, he could only block one of the blade lights, allowing the other one to increase in power. Not only Ning Cheng, but any low-leveled cultivator who stimulated their chi to attack the enemy, would naturally produce a kind of resistance because of the opponent's chi attribute. The opponent was a fire-attributed cultivator, so when he blocked the opponent's fire chi attack, it was bound to produce a kind of resistance against the fire-attributed chi, and relatively weaken the resistance against the ice-attributed chi. But some of the low-leveled cultivators with rich combat experience, have their own unique methods. Ning Cheng's combat experience was simply not rich. This kind of fire and ice-attributed blade lights, immediately made him unable to attend to one thing and lose sight of the other. Ning Cheng was able to block the fire light, but he was not able to completely block the ice light. Fortunately, his chi was not the slightest bit weaker than his opponent. Even the purity of his chi was several times stronger than his opponent. In a hurry, Ning Cheng's mind flashed with a few twisting movements. It was the twisting movements of the rusty-faced cultivator. At that time he had sent out 6 fire blades. The opposite party had only blocked 3 of the fire blades, the other 3 he could not block, but he was able to avoid them by twisting. That kind of twisting body technique, in Ning Cheng's mind in just a twinkling of an eye, when Sanpai shot out this ice light, Ning Cheng had already learnt this twisting method, and twisted his body into a slanted fried dough twist. Puff! A blood sprayed out, but Ning Cheng's heart was actually relieved. A moment ago he could not completely avoid the ice light, but he was able to avoid his vital organs, and only suffered a minor injury. After Sanpai used the ice and fire blades, his face suddenly turned pale. It could be seen that these 2 blades had consumed a lot of his chi. But not waiting for him to recover, Ning Cheng's sword light once again chopped over. At the same time it was mixed with several fire blades. Ning Cheng's attack method was very simple. Other than using the flying sword to attack, only the fire blades posed a threat to him. He had a flash of inspiration when he twisted his body to avoid it, but it was not yet fully formed. In order to kill Ning Cheng as soon as possible, Sanpai consumed too much of his chi. At this moment he knew that Ning Cheng's sword light was coming, but he could only forcibly avoid his vital organs. Ning Cheng's sword light chopped over Sanpai's shoulder. Sanpai, who had avoided his vital organs, was directly torn apart by Ning Cheng's fire blades. Miao Wenhong, who was standing at the side in a daze, saw Sanpai killed. He knew that the fight was already over. The one who was killed was not Ning Cheng, but Sanpai. You actually killed Sanpai. Miao Wenhong still could not believe it as he looked at Ning Cheng. Sanpai had told him that Ning Cheng was only at the Qi gathering 4th level. How could a Qi gathering 4th level kill a Qi gathering 6th level cultivator? Moreover, Sanpai displayed his unique skill, ice and fire dual blades. Ning Cheng could feel that his Qi was recovering very quickly. He did not want to be long-winded with Miao Wenhong. After killing Miao Wenhong, he had to escape to the Mingat Sea. Staying in this place would only be courting death. You better pray for yourself, Ning Cheng said, as he chopped out with the flying sword in his hands. Miao Wenhong opened his mouth. He did not even have the time to beg for mercy, as he was directly split apart by Ning Cheng's sword light. Before he died, he still could not believe that in the Mingat Sea, there was really someone who dared to kill him. Ning Qing very skillfully burned the two corpses, put away the things of the two people, and said to an E, let's quickly ride these two unicorns and go far away. Big brother Ning, where are we going now? An E and Ning Qing had been together for some time. She knew that Ning Qing was extremely opinionated. She did not find it strange that Ning Qing killed Miao Wenhong and his servant. Going out to sea, didn't someone tell us to take a boat before? Since there is a boat, there will definitely be a second one. Ning Qing said with certainty. When he killed Miao Wenhong and his servant, he had already thought that since there was a boat going out to sea, there would definitely be a second boat going out to sea. The Mingat Sea was boundless, and there were many people who came here. It was absolutely not something that could be satisfied with just one or two boats. An E hummed, and hesitated for a moment before asking with some doubts, Big brother Ning, I heard from my master, that anyone who cultivates needs to cultivate a main attribute. This also requires a main spiritual root. Even if one does not have a main spiritual root, they must find a suitable support spiritual root as their main attribute. Ning Qing did not wait for an E to finish. He understood the meaning of an Yi's words, and immediately asked, an E, you want to ask that Sanpai, why was he able to simultaneously use the ice and fire attribute cultivation method, right? Ning Qing was not a person who was ignorant. He had cultivated to the Qi gathering 4th level, and in terms of cultivation, he also understood some of the principles. Fireball technique, water ball technique, and so on, these were the most basic magic techniques. Any spiritual root could use them. But their achievements were limited, and could not be used in combat. Before when Sanpai used the ice and fire dual blades, it was already an extremely powerful magic technique. This was not something that could be simply explained by using basic magic techniques. Yes, I have been wondering how that Sanpai was able to simultaneously use two different blade lights. If it was me, I really do not know how to resist it. Could it be that Sanpai has two main attribute spiritual roots? Dual cultivation method? Ani nodded. Ning Qing smiled and said, you may not know about it now, but when your cultivation is high enough, you will know about it. If Sanpai had two main attribute spiritual roots, and was also able to dual cultivate, then the one who died today would not be him. When he used the ice and fire dual blades, he used a talisman. It should be an auxiliary talisman. Chapter 31. Ning Qing and an E had never ridden a roaring horn stone beast before. Riding on a roaring horn stone beast, their speed did not increase by much. An E, come down quickly, we can run by ourselves. Ning Qing felt that there was some vibration on the ground. This was definitely a large number of roaring horn beasts running. It was obvious that someone was chasing them. An E also felt the slight vibration on the ground. She did not need Ning Qing to call out. The two of them left the roaring horn beasts, and frantically ran along the edge of the Mingat Sea. The vibration under their feet was getting bigger and bigger. Ning Qing's heart was incomparably anxious. He and an E had been looking for a long time, but still could not find the boat. If they could not find the boat, then the two of them would absolutely not be able to escape. After a few dozen breaths, Ning Qing could even see a large dark mass behind him. Suddenly his heart turned cold. This time they really could not escape. What was the origin of this Miao Wenhong? How could there be so many people chasing him? Big brother Ning, there is a boat. Ning Qing was concerned about the pursuers behind him, while an E saw a boat on the beach. It really is a boat, hurry up. Ning Qing immediately called out to an E. The two of them jumped up and down, and landed on the boat. When Ning Qing got on the boat, he called out to the boatman to start the boat. Even if he did not start the boat, he would force the other party to start the boat. This was a matter of life and death. It would not be easy to talk to them. Moreover, Ning Qing also knew that most of these boats were used by adventurers. To put it bluntly, adventurers were people who could not cultivate. They were completely different from cultivators. But Ning Qing immediately swallowed the words that were on the tip of his tongue. The boat was not small, but he did not see a single person. The whole boat was quiet, there was no sound. A faint bloody smell and some damp and gloomy atmosphere came from the cabin, making Ning Qing frown. There is no one inside the boat. And he also felt it, and somewhat nervously moved closer to Ning Qing. That's not right. Ning Qing suddenly said. He had just seen a large dark mass of pursuers. Even if Miao Wenhong's status was extremely high, it was impossible for people to catch up so quickly, moreover it was a large group. Ning Qing subconsciously looked back, but found that the boat that he and Annie were standing on had already left the edge of the sea. He could not even see where the edge of the sea was, and what direction it was. Where were the pursuers? Apart from the darkening sky and the boundless sea, nothing else could be seen. A cold and gloomy gust of wind hit him. Ning Qing felt his whole body turn cold, and subconsciously shivered. The mysterious yellow bead in his zifu, in just a twinkling of an eye, immediately sent out an aura, which swept away the cold and gloomy gust of wind. Annie, where are you going? Ning Qing stepped forward, and pulled Annie back. When he turned around, he saw that Annie had already approached the cabin, and was even about to enter the cabin. As long as he was a breath later, Annie would have already entered the cabin. Ning Qing had just grabbed Annie's wrist, when he felt the same cold and strange aura. Feeling this cold and strange aura, the mysterious yellow bead once again exuded a soft aura, dispelling this strange cold aura without a trace. Annie recovered, and somewhat blankly looked at Ning Qing and asked, "Big brother Ning, what happened to me?" Ning Qing waved his hand, but did not let go of Annie. He just stared at the dark cabin and said, "There is something wrong with this ship." Annie was about to say that they should change to another ship, but she immediately understood that she and Ning Qing could not change ships. They were already in the sea. Moreover, this ship was not controlled by anyone, and its speed was not slow at all. "I don't care if you are a ghost cultivator or something else, me and my cousin will stay on the deck for a while. We are not related to each other. If you dare to plot against me again, I will immediately burn this ship." Ning Qing stood outside the cabin and said a few words, but he did not go in. Ning Qing knew about ghost cultivators. He had this concept in his memory. Ning Qing believed that with his cultivation level, if the opposite party was just a ghost, he would not be afraid. Ning Qing had just finished speaking these words, when he heard a gloomy laughter coming from inside the cabin. This jia laughter was very strange, making Ning Qing unable to pinpoint the specific direction of the sound. Ning Qing subconsciously pulled Annie back a few steps. His courage had always been big, and now he was a cultivator in the middle stages of the qi-gathering realm. Even so, this jia sound made his scalp go numb. Almost at the same time as Ning Qing retreated, Ning Qing's mind subconsciously thought of two shadows in the shape of ice arrows. He immediately pulled Annie to the side to dodge. Two solid objects quickly passed through his face. Fortunately he was aware of it early, otherwise his head would have been directly pierced by these things. Such a terrible attack, if not for the trajectory of the invisible ice arrows that appeared in his mind, he would have been hit by the arrows. Ning Qing was never a person who was easy to talk to. Even if he knew that these shadowless arrows were very terrible, he would not let them hit him and not fight back. Not waiting for the next shadowless arrows to arrive, Ning Qing raised his hands and shot out several fireballs. These fireballs, without exception, were thrown into the cabin. At this time his life was in danger. Why would he care about the cabin being burned? A moment ago, when the shadowless arrows were shot from the cabin, Annie was also aware of it. If Ning Qing had not pulled her, she certainly would not have been able to avoid it. Now seeing Ning Qing constantly throwing fireballs into the cabin, she also did not hesitate to bring out several fireballs and throw them into the cabin. This ship was originally made of wood. Ning Qing and Annie kept on throwing fireballs. These fireballs were not ordinary fire. The inside of the ship was damp, it would burn. For a time, the inside of the cabin was filled with smoke, and the fire also rose up. Ning Qing did not stop. He once again brought out a fireball. He wanted to burn the roof of the cabin. Just at this moment, a cold snort rang out. "Stop! Hurry up and extinguish the fire. Otherwise, everyone will die." Ning Cheng heard the voice coming from inside the cabin, and threw the fireballs even more vigorously. He was never a person who could be threatened, whether it was a ghost or a ghost cultivator, since they had plotted against him, then they could not blame him for being impolite. Before he said that he wanted to stay on the deck, because he did not want to cause trouble, but now things had come to his head. Everyone will die. I'm afraid that's not necessarily the case, right? We can find a piece of the deck to survive. You are a ghost or a ghost cultivator, you will die, do not associate us with you. While speaking, Ning Cheng once again threw out several fireballs, this time even the roof of the cabin was on fire. Well, this time I was wrong. I am not a ghost, nor a ghost cultivator. If you put out the fire, I am willing to give you some compensation. The voice from the cabin was somewhat helpless, and could only compromise with Ning Cheng. What compensation? Ning Cheng was not moved by this kind of empty promise. If he had some fear before, now he really was not afraid. Ghost cultivators and ghosts, he had not seen them before, so he did not know what was going on. For things that he had not seen before, people would always have some fear and unconsciously worry. Since the other party was not one, what was there for him to be afraid of? I am very familiar with this sea, I can help you advance to the late stages of the Qi-gathering realm. Otherwise you are just a small cultivator at the Qi-gathering 4th level, you would only be sending food to others. I am afraid that you will stab me in the back. Ning Cheng said slowly, he did not make any requests, nor did he stop. Bang! A piece of wood fell from the top of the cabin because of the flames, and hit the ship, making a muffled sound. I swear, if I, Fang Yijian, ever plot against you again, my soul will fly away and scatter, and I will never have the opportunity to rise again. The voice from the cabin seemed to know that Ning Cheng was not easy to get along with, and did not dare to make a false oath. Are you called Fang Yijian? Ning Cheng stopped releasing fireballs. The voice from the cabin eagerly said, can you first put out the fire on the ship, and then ask my name? The fire inside the cabin had just started burning, and had not yet formed its might. After Ning Cheng threw out several water balls, the flames were immediately suppressed, but soon they started again. When Ning Cheng saw this, he directly raised his hand and brought up the seawater under the ship, and blasted it on top of the flames, and he also came to help. The two of them in a short time, extinguished the flames. Not bad, a trivial Qi gathering 4th level, but unexpectedly has such a vigorous Qi. No wonder you can escape my shadowless arrow. The voice from the cabin said with some surprise. Ning Cheng disdainfully said, I am only at the Qi gathering realm, when I reach the essence building realm, to deal with a ghost like you, I can just use my flying sword to make a turn. Well, the people here are too stupid. Who told you that you cannot control a flying sword when you are at the Qi-gathering realm? When you gather Qi, you will have a spiritual sense. When your spiritual sense is strong, you can also control a flying sword. After the voice from the cabin heard Ning Cheng's words, it coldly snorted with disdain. After this cold snort, it seemed that Ning Cheng was not happy with calling him a ghost, and once again added a sentence, don't call me a ghost, my name is Fang Yijian, I am not a ghost, but an essence spirit. For you to be able to survive, it can be considered as a skill, come in, let's talk. Essence spirit. I thought you were a ghost. It seems that the large group of people who were chasing me on the shore, were really Miao Wen Hong's backer. Ning Cheng sighed, he did not think that the people from the Mingot city's Wolf Palace would react so quickly. In such a short time they were able to form a team and chase him. The self-proclaimed essence spirit Fang Yi snorted and said, you are wrong again, that team of running hooves, is the real soul soldier. Chapter 32. Soul Weapon. Ning Cheng froze for a moment, the meaning of a soul weapon was obviously a lifeless soul. But that valiant hoof sound, how could it be a soul weapon? Besides, was there really a soul weapon? Seeing Ning Cheng in a daze, Fang Jian's voice came again, this is nothing strange. For many years, the Mingot Sea area has lost many cultivators, the souls of cultivators are incomparably strong, and many of them even have an embryonic form of an essence spirit, forming a soul weapon is nothing strange. Although a soul weapon looks terrible, but with your cultivation level and alertness, it is not worth mentioning. Ning Qing saw it clearly. Fang Jian's voice came from a relatively intact log on the hull of the ship. He understood where Fang Jian was hiding, and his heart slightly relaxed. He walked into the cabin with an E. You are hiding on this log, is there something special about this log? Ning Qing knew that Fang Jian's essence spirit was hiding on the log. He immediately knew that this log was definitely not simple. Otherwise Fang Jian would have already left. Even if he burned the ship, Fang Jian would not care. There is nothing special, I like this ship, I am used to this ship. Fang Jian said as if nothing had happened. Ning Qing looked around, and found that there were several logs of the same material. He immediately said, so it is like this, I know this log, it can be used to make chairs, there are a few of them on the ship, I will dig them out and take them away. I certainly will not casually dismantle the ship, you can rest assured. Seeing that Ning Qing was really ready to dismantle the rest of the soul wood, Fang Jian's voice was somewhat panicked, don't dismantle it, I will tell you, this is a soul wood, each soul wood has an inch of soul wood core, I have to rely on this soul wood core to survive, if you dismantle this soul wood, I will be finished. This is a soul wood. Ning Qing was overjoyed, he had read about this soul wood in the book that an E had given him. In fact, the soul wood that people usually talked about was the soul wood core. Each soul wood core was only useful for less than an inch of soul wood core. In this place, including the place where Fang Yijian was hiding, there were 4 of them. Even if he left one for Fang Yijian, he would still be able to get the other 3. Of course, he wouldn't take away all 3 logs. He only needed to dig out the wood heart of the soul-nurturing wood. Seeing Ning Cheng's shining eyes, Fang Jian thought that this was not good, this was a greedy guy. He quickly said, those shipbuilders had eyes but failed to see, they even cut down the soul-nourishing wood to build the ship, if not for me, this was simply a reckless waste of natural resources. By the way, may I know your name? How could Ning Cheng not know the meaning of Fang Jian's words? Fang Jijian was reminding him that he was the one who found these soul wood, so it was his thing. But Ning Cheng directly ignored the meaning of this Fang sword. He and this Fang sword did not have any friendship, moreover he was almost killed by this guy a moment ago, so why would he be polite? Then he smiled and spoke, my name is Ning Cheng, it seems like we are fated to meet each other today. I think you're quite pleasing to the eye, so I've decided to leave you 1 inch of this soul-nurturing wood. I'll take the other 3 inches. Elder brother Ning, you can't do this. Fang Jian saw that Ning Cheng wanted to dig out the remaining 3 inches of the soul-nurturing wood, and was immediately shocked. He was staying here because of the soul-nurturing wood, without the soul-nurturing wood, he was finished, and there was no meaning in staying here. Ning Cheng's face turned cold and said, Elder brother Fang, people say that the road to the sky, each of us walk halfway, once you go astray, you share the wealth and I share it. Now that I have accidentally gone astray, do you intend to ignore the rules, and do not want to share it with me? Fang Jian had lived for countless years, but he could not remember where he had heard such a sentence. What was this about ignoring the rules? This was simply robbery. That's not what I meant, what I mean is that I have an essence spirit body, and you have a corporeal body, once you take away the soul-nurturing wood, it would be a disaster for me. If elder brother Ning was in my position, then presumably you would also think the same as me. Fang Jian said while holding back his anger, without the soul-nurturing wood, what was the use of him staying here? If he had known earlier, then he would not have done business with this kid. Originally he thought that he would have 2 pure souls of cultivators, but he did not think that he would be the one looking for trouble. Contrary to what Fang Jian expected, Ning Cheng actually nodded and said, Elder brother Fang's words are extremely true, thank you elder brother Fang for reminding me. If a person does not think about the future, then he will have to worry about the present. Today I have dug out the soul-nurturing wood, maybe I will be able to use it in the future, thank you. Feng Jianyi wanted to cry but had no tears. He wanted to persuade Ning Cheng not to dig, but he did not think that it would have the opposite effect. When he saw Ning Cheng take out a flying sword, and just turn it around on the soul-nurturing wood, it brought out a black soul-nurturing wood core, his heart was almost bleeding. Ning Cheng did not stop, and continued to dig out the second soul-nurturing wood core. Seeing that Ning Cheng wanted to dig out the third soul-nurturing wood core, Feng Jianyi could not help but say, "Elder brother Ning, please stop. Elder brother Ning has just reached the Qi-gathering 4th level, presumably there are many things that you do not understand. If elder brother Ning is willing to leave behind this soul-nurturing wood core, then I will be willing to teach you any questions you have. I do not dare to say anything else, but I can guarantee that elder brother Ning will be able to reach the Qi-gathering realm in the shortest time possible." Listening to Feng Jianyi's words, Ning Cheng stopped his actions and said, "Elder brother Feng, since you said it like that, I really have a few questions to ask you. This soul-nurturing wood, as a reward. If he had teeth, then at this time Feng Jianyi would have already gnashed his teeth. This soul-nurturing wood is obviously mine, okay?" Even so, he could only smile and said, "Elder brother Ning, please ask, this Feng will definitely tell you everything that I know." "That's right, elder brother Feng, I heard that the essence spirit can be seized, will you be able to seize my body?" Ning Cheng pulled an E to sit down, and suddenly asked an irrelevant question. "Elder brother Ning must be joking, how can I seize elder brother Ning's body?" Feng Jianyi said with an apologetic smile, but in his heart he was cursing. Cultivating to this age, and only at the trivial Qi-gathering 4th level, without even looking, he knew that his spiritual roots were garbage, only an idiot would be willing to seize your body. Ning Cheng cautiously nodded and said, "Then I can rest assured, I heard others say that only after cultivating to the essence-building realm can one's spiritual sense be transformed into spiritual consciousness, only then can one release it. At the true condensation realm, there is a way to use spiritual sense to control an artifact." Just now elder brother Feng said that Qi-gathering realm cultivators can release their spiritual sense. Speaking about cultivation, Feng Jianyi's tone immediately became disdainful. The person who said this is just an idiot. A real Qi-gathering realm cultivator can release their spiritual sense, but because of the lack of cultivation method and spiritual Qi, they are limited. Even so, a Qi-gathering realm cultivator can control an artifact to attack the enemy. In the Lu continent, it is very common for a Qi-gathering realm cultivator to use a flying sword to attack the enemy. "What is going on?" Ning Cheng quickly asked. Feng Jianyi also did not hide it. The Lu continent is rich in spiritual Qi, moreover there are many academies. The level of the cultivation methods is obviously not something that a trivial low-class continent can compare to. In fact, in the intermediate class continents, there are many Qi-gathering cultivators who can use their spiritual sense to control a flying sword. The low-class continents are deficient in spiritual Qi. In order to speed up the cultivation speed, some of the cultivation methods weaken the role of spiritual sense, which leads to the fact that only true condensation realm cultivators can use an artifact, and essence-building realm cultivators can release their spiritual sense. So it is actually a simplified version of the cultivation method. Ning Cheng suddenly understood, so to speak, his cultivation method should have been modified by the mysterious yellow bead, and should be the complete version. At that time, he would try to see if he could control a flying sword. "You brought the boat to the seaside, was it because you wanted to fish? Deceive people to board the boat? Moreover, what about the original people on the boat?" Ning Cheng thought about the experience he had when he boarded the boat, and in his heart he already had some understanding. Feng Jianyi did not understand what fishing was. After listening to Ning Cheng's words, he finally understood, and immediately replied, "That's right, I was indeed fishing. I have an essence spirit body, in addition to the soul-nourishing wood. Because of the cultivation method that I practice, I also have to swallow some souls in order to grow stronger. This boat originally had some problems, and it just so happened that those souls were used up by me. Ning Qing sneered in his heart, if there were some problems, then it was definitely this Fang Jianni who killed them. You can find a few cultivation methods for me. I want a high-level one. I was deceived by you to board the boat. You should at least show some kind of appreciation, right? Ning Qing was sure that this Fang Jianni's origin was not ordinary. Maybe he had a lot of good things on him. When Fang Jianni heard Ning Qing ask him about a cultivation method, he quickly waved his hands and said, I really do not have any cultivation method. I am just an essence spirit body. Really? Ning Qing asked with a smile. Fang Jianni suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. In his heart he regretted bringing Ning Qing up. This was the first time that he had met a chi-gathering 4th-level cultivator that his invisible arrow could not kill. You don't have any, but I have a way to help you get it, so I want to make a deal with you. Not far from here, there is a flood dragon island. You can help me spread the news in the Mingot city, that there is a large number of low-leveled sea spirit objects on the flood dragon island. When the time comes, I will give you a map. As long as you help me with this, I will definitely help you get a cultivation method. After Fang Jianni finished, he felt that his words were a little lacking in confidence. Ning Qing immediately understood Fang Jianni's idea. The flood dragon island had a large number of low-leveled sea spirit objects. It would certainly attract a lot of adventurers. Moreover, it would also attract a lot of low-leveled cultivators. This Fang Jianni wanted to hide in the flood dragon island to harm people, and then slowly devour the spirit objects. Ning Qing said with an expressionless face, then I am really sorry. I just offended the Wolf Palace and the Hohai village in the Mingot city. If you want me to go to the Mingot city now, wouldn't that be sending me to my death? After Fang Jianni heard this, he cursed in his heart. This kid really was not a good thing. He was just a trivial chi-gathering 4th-level cultivator, yet he was causing trouble everywhere, and even offended 2 of the major forces in the Mingot city. He had devoured a lot of spirits. Of course he understood what Ning Qing meant by the Wolf Palace and the Hohai village. It looks like, you really don't want to give me the cultivation method. That's really a pity. I can't trouble you again. There is a small boat on it. I and my cousin will take this boat. Ning Qing slowly stood up. Don't worry, I will think of a way. Fang Jianni heard that Ning Qing was going to leave, and immediately panicked. He and Ning Qing had not been together for a long time, but he felt that Ning Qing was an extremely shameless person. If he did not satisfy Ning Qing, then maybe Ning Qing would just step off the boat, and behind him, there would be countless fireballs thrown onto the boat. Chapter 33. A burst of rustling sound came, and a few jade pieces were thrown out. How come these are jade pieces? Ning Qing did not understand, so when he saw the jade pieces, he felt strange. I heard Master say, when you cultivate to the level of spiritual consciousness, you can engrave some things on the jade pieces. Using spiritual consciousness to engrave things, is many times more than using parchment to write. But you need to have spiritual consciousness to see these things, otherwise you will not be able to see them. An E whispered in Ning Qing's ear. Fang Jian said with a somewhat contemptuous voice, what this little girl said is right. The contents of the jade pieces are much more than the books that you have seen before. You do not know how many times more. Ning Qing knew that he had made a mistake. He quickly put away the jade pieces and asked, is there anything else? The jade pieces that I just gave you are all top-level cultivation methods. You can't even cultivate them all by yourself. What else do you want? Fang Jian said with some annoyance. For example, the array formations. If you don't give it to me, then forget it. Ning Qing said as if nothing had happened. Here you go. This is the array formations jade piece. Inside it are the basics of array formations. Fang Jian sneered in his heart, with your qualifications, you still want to learn array formations? Bah! For example, there are some spiritual grass jade pieces. If you don't give it to me, I will not force you. Here you go. Yes, I think that if you have 1 or 2 powerful spells, when you fight with others, you will have a lot of advantages. Of course, I was just casually talking about it. Here you go. Fang Jian resisted the anger in his heart. if he gave these things to Ningcheng, it would simply be like a turtle eating barley, it would be a waste of food. Thank you, Brother Fong. You've really helped me a lot. This time when I was in Mingot City, I saw that there were pills for sale, my heart was filled with envy. If I could refine pills, then in the future I would be able to save a lot of spirit stones. Ningcheng did not hesitate to put away all the jade pieces, he was still sighing. Fong Jian's disdainful voice came, you want to refine pills? Do you know how difficult it is to refine pills? Do you know that a sect, or even a family, would find it very difficult to cultivate an ordinary pill master? You are a rogue cultivator, even if you have some opportunities, I advise you to dispel this idea. Ningcheng disapprovingly said, at the end of the month in the Mingot City, there will be an auction for pills, aren't those pills refined by humans? If others can learn, why can't I? Fong Jian sneered and said, how can that be called a pill? It couldn't even be considered as the lowest level mortal grade pill. It can only be considered a pill. There are pills too. Ningcheng immediately asked, he did not understand anything about these things, but now that he had the opportunity to ask, he would not be polite. Fong Jian did not hold back, and directly said, these people have limited spiritual sense, and do not have any alchemy inheritance, so they are simply unable to perform alchemy, and can only purify the medicinal liquid. The so-called medicinal liquid referred to the simple purification of some spirit herbs, and then mixed with each other according to a certain ratio. Pills and medicinal liquids shared the same principle. They aren't refined by a pill furnace, but rather solidified medicinal liquids. Ningcheng was speechless, he had never thought that alchemy would be this difficult. He had heard about high-level pills, but it turned out to be some inferior pills, this was simply too shameless. Seeing Ningcheng speechless, Fong Jian once again spoke up, even if it is me, I also do not know how to refine pills, I also do not have any alchemy jade strips. Ningcheng could see that Fong Jian really did not have any alchemy jade strips, and spoke in a somewhat depressed manner, since that is the case, then forget it, I will be leaving this place, goodbye. Fong Jian was very anxious for Ningcheng to leave, but he was afraid that after Ningcheng left, he would use a fireball to burn the ship, so he reluctantly said, this ship is very big, you can also stay here. Ningcheng spoke in a neither fast nor slow manner, elder brother Fong, the two of us have different daos, so we cannot work together. This ship of yours is used to kill people and refine their souls. I don't have anything in common with you. I'm a kind person. How can I be with a primordial spirit like you? Saying that, Ningcheng did not speak much, and directly pushed the boat into the sea, and jumped onto the boat with an E. In the blink of an eye, the small boat disappeared from the side of the big ship and entered the vast sea. When Fong Jian saw that Ningcheng did not use a fireball to attack the big ship, he breathed a sigh of relief and at the same time cursed, fart, people with different daos cannot work together, you little bastard, why didn't you say that before you took my jade strips? You took away all of my things, and then said such shameless words. Big brother Ning, I think what you said is right, although that Fong Jian is a senior, but he casually killed innocent people, this should not be done. An E who was standing on the boat, was full of admiration for Ningcheng's decision. She felt, that she really knew Ningcheng now. Ningcheng awkwardly installed the oars on the boat, and said, actually, I am not that noble. This world was a place where the strong were respected, Ningcheng was not that noble, and would casually blame Fong Jian for killing people. The reason why he left the big ship, was because he did not dare to stay there. Fong Jian had spiritual consciousness, and also had the shadowless arrow, staying with this kind of person, unless he was tired of living. Fong Jian was afraid of him burning the ship, and he was equally afraid of Fong Jian. If he could kill Fong Jian, maybe he would have killed that guy. There was a big ship, who would use a small ship? Moreover, Ningcheng knew, as for burning the ship, this kind of thing that would harm others without benefiting himself, Ningcheng was not a retard, of course he would not do it. An Yi did not know about Ning Cheng's twisted intestines, and still looked at Ning Cheng with a respectful look and said, "Big brother Ning, fortunately I met you. If not for you, I would have stayed in the Blue Heart Nunnery. I think I would not have a good time. Or, as my master said, he will be harmed in the end." Ning Cheng did not refute An Yi's words, but nodded and said, "Before I did not understand array formations, I thought that the Blue Heart Nunnery was a safe place, but now I know, it is not safe." The array formations of the Blue Heart Nunnery were at best a level 1 array formation. Dealing with a rookie like Ning Cheng would certainly not be a problem. As long as he was a little proficient in array formations, he would be able to crack it. "Big brother Ning, where are we going now?" At this time in the boat with Ning Cheng, An Yi did not think much about it. "We will first look for an island, and on one side we can gain experience, while on the other we can cultivate. After a period of time, when the wind is much weaker, we will go ashore. Anyway, we brought enough things, we are not afraid of starving to death." Ning Cheng dared to get off the boat, was because he had a storage bag. Moreover, the storage bag had his own food and water reserves. At the same time, Ning Cheng began to check his spoils of war, and Yi saw that Ning Cheng had something to do, and simply went to row the boat. Miao Wenhong and San Pai did not have a storage bag. Their things were also limited. The best thing they had was San Pai's low-grade artifact. Miao Wenhong guessed that San Pai's equipment would be good for him, so he gave the low-grade artifact to San Pai. As for Miao Wenhong's items, in addition to some gold coins, there were only some obscene drugs and the like. Ning Cheng despised this young master Wenhong. This kid could cultivate to the Qi-gathering 3rd level, presumably his spiritual roots were better than his own. But this kid spent all his time and energy on women's bellies. Even the things that he brought with him were not good. Throwing these things into the storage bag, Ning Cheng continued to study the basic array formations that An Yi had given him. As for the jade strips that he got from Fang Jiyan, Ning Cheng did not touch them. His current spiritual sense was still weak. These jade strips could be studied when he had free time. Once Ning Cheng started to study the basic array formations, he once again entered into the state of enlightenment. An Yi and Ning Cheng had been together for a long time. She was already accustomed to Ning Cheng's abnormal way of studying. She did not disturb Ning Cheng. While she was controlling the boat, from time to time she would put some food and water beside Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng was completely immersed in the state. In his mind emerged a three-dimensional picture of the array formations. The positions of the basic array formations were constantly evolving in his mind, while at the same time he was constantly changing and modifying them. 5 days flashed by. When Ning Cheng turned the last page, he found that he had unexpectedly finished reading the book on the basics of array formations. "I have read this book for several years, but I only know a little about it. I did not think that you would be able to finish reading it in less than half a month." An Yi saw Ning Cheng turn the last page, and quietly said a few words from the side. She was a quiet person, although in these 10 days, Ning Cheng had not spoken to her, but she did not feel lonely. Ning Cheng gave An Yi an apologetic look, and was about to speak, when a huge wave rushed over, and through the boat that he and An Yi were on. The next moment, the sky turned gloomy, lightning flashed, followed by the sound of thunder, and dense raindrops the size of soybeans poured down. Chapter 34. Ning Cheng was just about to arrange a rain barrier array formation, when a wave of water burst out in front of the boat, and 2 rows of white teeth bit towards Ning Cheng. This time An Yi's reaction was unexpectedly faster than Ning Cheng's. A wind edge flew past, and the white teeth of the sea beast was directly cut into the sea by An Yi. Ning Cheng looked at An Yi with surprise. In his opinion An Yi was always half a beat slower. How could her reaction be so fast? Although this sea beast was not worth mentioning, even an ordinary Qi-gathering first-level cultivator could easily deal with it, but An Yi's reaction speed made Ning Cheng look at her with a whole new level of respect. Seeing Ning Cheng looking at her with some surprise, An Yi shyly said, "These past few days there have been all kinds of low-level sea beasts attacking our boat. I was always ready, so, Ning Qing suddenly understood. He was already immersed in the study of array formations, in order to not let these low-level sea beasts disturb him, so she took the initiative to drive away the sea beasts. Although these sea beasts were low-level, but they were the favorite of the adventurers. These sea beasts had many valuable things on their bodies. A sea beast could be sold for more than 10 gold coins. Ning Qing did not care about the gold coins, even if it was the chi-gathering stones. He did not care much about it. What he cared about was the spirit stones. He needed a lot of spiritual chi for his cultivation. Ordinary chi-gathering stones were simply useless. Another huge wave came crashing over. Ning Qing did not have time to say thank you words. He quickly forcibly controlled the boat. When Ning Qing was ready to arrange an array formation, he found that he did not even have a single array flag. Moreover, he simply did not know how to refine array flags. At this time, for him, all the array formations and array flags were just theoretical things, and had not yet become a reality. The rain was getting heavier, and the waves were getting bigger and bigger. Ning Qing and at this time had no way to take shelter from the rain. The two of them had to work hard to control the boat, at least not let the boat capsize. Although Ning Qing and were both at the chi-gathering 4th level, the heavy rain did not seem to stop. The two of them controlled the boat for a whole day, but the rain was getting heavier and heavier. Another few feet high wave came crashing down. The boat under the control of Ning Qing and although it was not overturned, but it broke into pieces. A small wooden boat, under such strong winds and huge waves, being able to persist for a whole day, was already considered good. The wooden boat broke apart, and Ning Qing and fell directly into the sea. Ning Qing first grabbed a piece of wood, but when he looked back, he saw that was only wearing a piece of robe. Ning Qing panicked. He did not care about the wooden plank. He directly gathered his chi and rushed over, and grabbed into his bosom. Was a cultivator at the chi-gathering 4th level, but because she did not have any experience in the sea, after fighting against these strong winds and huge waves for a whole day, she was already exhausted. What's more, before this, she had been continuously taking care of Ning Qing for nearly a week. Now that the wooden boat was broken, not to mention that she didn't know how to swim, even if she could, she wouldn't be able to hold on. Fortunately, Ning Qing reacted quickly, and caught in his hands. Otherwise, would have already been taken away by the huge waves. Was sent out of the water by Ning Qing. She spat out a few mouthfuls of salty water, and said, "Big brother Ning, are we going to die?" Ning Qing held in his arms as he treaded on the water. His heart was also somewhat sad. If he still had a piece of wood, maybe he would be able to deal with it for a while, but now that he did not have a piece of wood, even if he was more powerful, he would not be able to persist for a long time. "Big brother Ning, do you think that if we die, will we turn into those kinds of soul soldiers, and come and go every day in the sea?" At this time unexpectedly thought of those kinds of soul soldiers. Ning Qing quickly said, "Don't think about it, we will not necessarily die. As long as the wind and waves stop, maybe we can be saved. Alas, if we could fly on a flying sword, then we would not be afraid of these waves." He had not even finished his words, when another huge wave came crashing down, directly beating down Ning Qing's words. After the huge wave passed, suddenly raised her hand to help Ning Qing smooth his hair. "Big brother Ning, I really want you to let me go, but I am really afraid of being alone. I am not afraid of death, I am afraid of becoming a soul soldier." Ning Qing reluctantly lifted up and said, "Don't talk nonsense, how can I let you go? If I have to die, then I will definitely die. If I let you go it would be the same. If the two of us were together, then we would have a companion. I have already died once, it would not matter if I die again, maybe I can still go back." "Big brother Ning, does a girlfriend mean a fiancé?" Saw that Ning Qing had not finished his words, and suddenly took the initiative to ask. Originally had asked him about his girlfriend, but at that time their conversation was interrupted by two advanced level cultivators who suddenly flew past them. Ning Qing did not think that would ask about it again. When Ning Qing had thought of Ning Ruolin, he had also thought of Tianmu Wan. At this time he did not know whether he would be able to survive or not. When an E asked him, he did not hide anything, and directly replied, "A girlfriend is not a fiancé. If you want your girlfriend to become a fiancé, then you have to propose. Is it because you forgot to propose to your girlfriend, so you and your girlfriend had a conflict?" Ning Cheng sighed and said, "No, she got into another person's car in front of me, although I know that she might have done it intentionally, but with my personality I can't accept it, I think." And Yi's complexion suddenly changed, and even her tone became fierce as she said, "Big brother Ning, this kind of shameless woman. You even mentioned her." Another huge wave came crashing down. Ning Cheng already had some experience in dealing with it, so he brought an E into the water, and escaped the huge wave, and once again came out. Wiping the water droplets from his face, Ning Cheng said with a bitter smile, "An E, you mentioned it a moment ago, I did not mention her." At the same time, he was also speechless in his heart. He knew that an E had not been to Earth, so it was normal for her to have such thoughts. This and shamelessness were two different things. Ning Cheng also had no way to explain this kind of thing to an E. "I'm sorry, big brother Ning, I should not have mentioned it a moment ago." An E felt Ning Cheng's sadness, and suddenly felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. She had cultivated together with her master, but when she was with Ning Cheng, she felt that she could speak a lot more than when she was with her master. "An E, can you see if these are the sea beasts that attacked us before?" Ning Cheng subconsciously hugged an E, but his heart was cold. A dark mass of sea beasts rushed towards Ning Cheng and an E. Each of the sea beasts had a bloodthirsty look in their eyes, and were baring their shiny white teeth. Apparently they had seen their prey. "It's the kind with the sharp teeth." An E also panicked. She could imagine, the two of them would soon be torn to pieces by this dark mass of sea beasts, not even a single piece of flesh would be left behind. Ning Cheng took out his flying sword, and with a sword light, dozens of sea beasts were directly torn apart by Ning Cheng's sword light. The sea beasts behind them immediately swarmed up, and completely devoured the ones that Ning Cheng had split apart. The wave seemed to be a lot smaller, and did not hit them for a long time, but Ning Cheng felt even more difficult. He constantly waved his flying sword, while killing these sea beasts, while holding an E and quickly retreated. But the resistance of the sea water made him unable to display his speed. The desire to survive made Ning Cheng break out with an unprecedented strength. He carried an E while killing and retreating, and unexpectedly persisted for half a day. These sharp-teethed sea beasts were simply too many. He simply could not kill them all. Not only could he not kill them all, but the more he killed, the more there were. An E. Ning Cheng was about to say that he could not hold on any longer, when a reef appeared in front of him. An E also saw the reef. She was just about to speak, when Ning Cheng happily said, "We have arrived at the edge of an island." While speaking, Ning Cheng broke out with his last bit of strength, and with an E, he sped up, and finally rushed out of the water, and landed on the reef on the periphery of the island. Then Ning Cheng rushed to the island in a few steps, and then could not bear it any longer, and fell to the ground. "Finally escaped with our lives." Ning Cheng's words came to an abrupt end. He stared at an E who was pressing down on him. To be honest, Ning Cheng had never seen an E as an adult woman, but at this time an Yi's clothes were completely soaked, and she looked more like a woman than any other woman. Ning Cheng's only sigh in his heart, this little nun usually could not be seen. How could her chest be so big? Chapter 35. An E did not realize that she was completely exposed. Instead she hugged Ning Cheng tightly, and even trembled a little. An E. Ning Cheng was about to call out to an E, but he also felt that something was wrong. He and an E were surrounded by a haze, and Yi's snow-white chest was blocked by the haze. It seemed vaguely visible. "There is a soul weapon." An Yi's voice was trembling. She seemed to be extremely afraid of these soul weapons. Ning Cheng had already put aside the issue of an Yi's chest. In an instant he sat up. He did not care about his exhaustion. He grabbed an E and hid behind a rock. A headless man was holding a human head in his hand, slowly moving through the haze with his hunched back. After the man took a few steps, he suddenly took out a bloody palm from the bag behind him, and then stuffed the palm into the mouth of the human head in his hand. The human head that he was holding in his hand, unexpectedly began to slowly chew. Ning Qing felt his scalp tingle. Even when he was on Fang Jian's ship, he did not have this kind of gloomy and terrifying feeling. After the human head chewed on the palm, it suddenly automatically turned its head in another direction. Its two ashen eyes were directly staring at the place where Ning Cheng and an Yi were hiding. There was even some blood on the corner of its mouth. Ning Cheng felt a chill in his heart. The mysterious yellow bead once again emitted an aura, driving out the cold feeling. Fortunately, the headless man did not seem to know that the human head in his hand was looking at Ning Cheng, and still walked slowly into the haze, slowly disappearing from sight. Big Brother Ning, that soul weapon did not have a head. An Yi's voice trembled. Apparently she had never seen such a strange thing before. Ning Cheng said in a deep voice, "An Yi, I suspect that it is not a soul weapon. When we came here, this was just an island. Now suddenly there is a lot of fog. It is simply impossible to see anything around us. This is most likely an array formation, maybe it is an illusion array. That person without a head, perhaps he simply does not exist, it is our own illusion." Although he comforted an Yi, Ning Cheng's heart was not at all sure. He was not sure whether it was an illusion or not, because the scene just now was too real. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the fog gradually dissipated. Ning Cheng and an Yi once again restored the original scene. "I know, this is Lansha Island." Ning Cheng sobered up. He felt that this place was somewhat familiar. The surrounding environment was clearly the same as the map that Taoist Pu had given him. Ning Cheng had an eidetic memory, although he had thrown away the two pictures, but he could still clearly remember the things that were drawn in the array formation map. In the formation drawing of the Lansha Island, this was the scene in front of them. "Then what should we do? I heard that the golden cicada fruit has appeared here. When the time comes there will be a lot of people coming here." When an Yi heard that this was the Lansha Island, she asked with some concern. Ning Cheng immediately said, "That Taoist Pu wants us to join their team, so he is definitely up to no good. Whether that Taoist Pu came on the 15th of last month or the 15th of this month, our strength is not enough to interfere. There are still a few more days until the 15th of this month. Let's find a safe place to hide first." If there was a boat, Ning Cheng would have immediately left this place. Unfortunately, he didn't have a boat, so he couldn't leave at all. He did not believe that there was a golden cicada fruit here. This kind of thing like the golden cicada fruit, if it really existed, why would Taoist Pu, a mere chi-gathering third-level ant, come and snatch it? Ning Cheng and an Yi did not dare to enter the heart of the island. They walked along the edge of the island for more than an hour, and finally found a huge reef on the edge of the island. Ning Cheng took out the low-grade artifact that he had obtained from Sanpai, and found a hidden place in the reef and began to dig a hole. Ning Cheng had the cultivation of Qi gathering 4th level, plus he also had a low-grade artifact. Moreover, he did not cherish this artifact. In just a short period of half a day, Ning Cheng dug a huge reef cave. At this time, an Yi had already changed her clothes, and followed Ning Cheng into the newly dug reef cave. The two of them had just entered for a while, when the outside was once again shrouded in fog. "This place is really strange. I have to find a way to refine some array flags, and then arrange an array formation to seal this cave. An Yi, you have the spirit stones, you can cultivate by yourself." Ning Cheng saw that the fog outside was getting thicker and thicker, and secretly rejoiced that he had made the right choice. If he was still in the fog, maybe he would have lost his way, and directly entered the heart of the island. An Yi did not have any objection to Ning Cheng's idea. She knew that Ning Cheng needed a lot of spirit stones for his cultivation. Giving these spirit stones to Ning Cheng was simply meaningless. It would be better to cultivate by herself. Once her cultivation was high enough, she would help Ning Cheng find spirit stones for his cultivation. Seeing an Yi start to cultivate, Ning Cheng took out some materials and began to refine array flags. He had never learned how to refine artifacts, but in the array formation basics, there was a simple introduction to refining array flags. After 2 days of fumbling and countless experiments, Ning Cheng was able to refine some rank 1 array flags. Although it was still somewhat rough, but these array flags could already be used to arrange a rank 1 array formation. But Ning Cheng was very dissatisfied. He somewhat regretted that he did not ask Fang Jian for a few jade strips for refining artifacts. At this time he was very clear, refining artifacts and array formations were really closely linked. If he did not learn refining artifacts, he would never be able to become a good array formation master. Thinking that refining artifacts and array formations were closely linked, Ning Cheng sighed. Refining artifacts was definitely not easier than alchemy. The mysterious yellow bead could only help him to correct his cultivation method, but it could not let him quickly master the skills of alchemy and refining artifacts. It seems that even if he mastered more array formation theories, it was still impossible for him to become a powerful array formation master. After arranging a rank 1 concealment array formation in the immortal cave, Ning Cheng took out the few jade strips that Fang Jian had given him. Among the 2 jade strips, Ning Cheng could not see even a single word. He did not know if his cultivation was too low, or if the jade strips that Fang Jian had given him were fake. Ning Cheng then took out the 4 cultivation method jade strips. The first one he could not see, the second one he could not see, the third one. Ning Cheng had already determined in his heart that Fang Jian had deceived him. Even if he could not clearly see the contents of the jade strips, his cultivation method had already been corrected by the mysterious yellow bead. His spiritual sense was certainly much stronger than the average qi-gathering cultivators. But now he could not even see a single word on the jade strips. If Fang Jian was not deceiving him, then what was it? This idea changed when Ning Cheng picked up the 4th jade strip. The 4th jade strip. Ning Cheng was unexpectedly able to use his spiritual sense to scan it. Wishful profound wood technique. The beginning of the words was not a problem for Ning Cheng, but the more he read, the more blurred it became. When Ning Cheng saw the words gathering qi into essence, achieving the true condensation realm, he immediately felt a pain in his head, and could no longer continue reading. However, with Ning Cheng's abnormal memory, as long as he saw it once, he would not be able to forget it. This was a wood attribute cultivation method. Ning Cheng closed his eyes and carefully thought about this cultivation method once again. He discovered that this cultivation method wasn't much better than the Ning family's cultivation method he had corrected. Ning Cheng himself did not want to cultivate this cultivation method, but he thought of an yi. At this time an yi was cultivating. After Ning Cheng listened to Fang Jian's words, he felt that an yi's cultivation method was also very ordinary. He interrupted the cultivation of an yi and asked, "An yi, what is your spiritual root? What kind of cultivation technique are you practicing?" After an yi finished, she opened her eyes and said, "My main spiritual root is wood, and I cultivate the common wood secret art. My master said that after I reach the true condensation realm, I would need to find a new cultivation method. Common wood secret art, it should be the lowest grade common grade cultivation method. In the cultivation method that Fang Jian gave me, there is a profound wood secret art. I have no use for it, you can cultivate it." Ning Cheng said, and threw the jade piece in his hands to an yi. Profound wood secret art. This should be a profound grade cultivation method. Even my master has not seen this kind of thing. Fang Jian gave it to you, he really is rich. An yi took the jade piece, and said in amazement. Even if she did not have a flamboyant character, she was somewhat excited to get a profound grade cultivation method. She certainly knew the preciousness of a profound grade cultivation method. Her master said that even if it was a 3-star academy, they would not necessarily have a few profound grade cultivation methods. The lowest grade of the cultivation methods was the common grade, followed by the true grade, and even higher than the true grade was the profound grade. But after the profound grade, there was the earth grade and the heaven grade cultivation methods, which were the stuff of legends. Even with an yi's temperament, when she obtained a profound grade cultivation method, she could not wait to read it with her spiritual sense. Unfortunately, the strength of her spiritual sense was far inferior to Ning Cheng's. She could not even see a single word. Ning Cheng looked at an yi's expression, and knew that an yi was unable to read the jade piece, and simply said, I will say it to you, you can just write it down. An Yi was not surprised that Ning Cheng could read the contents of the jade piece. After being with Ning Cheng for some time, she was getting more and more accustomed to the things that happened to Ning Cheng. Although An Yi's memory was good, but it was not as abnormal as Ning Cheng's. After Ning Cheng repeated it several times, An Yi completely memorized the profound Wood secret arts Qi gathering cultivation method. Big brother Ning, would you like me to change to the profound Wood secret art? After An Yi finished memorizing the profound Wood secret arts Qi gathering cultivation method, she immediately knew that this cultivation method was many times stronger than her original, common Wood secret art. Ning Cheng and An Yi were the same. They did not know the dangers of changing a cultivation method. Since it was a good cultivation method, then of course they would have to change it to a good cultivation method. This was nothing unusual. Ning Cheng was about to agree with An Yi's words, when suddenly a refreshing fragrance spread into the reef cave. Ning Cheng sniffed it a few times, and suddenly felt refreshed. He subconsciously stood up and said, "What is this smell? It seems to be a familiar smell of spiritual fruit. Wait, I remember. It's the golden cicada fruit." An Yi also stood up. She was the one who gave Ning Cheng the primary level spiritual grass book. Since Ning Cheng knew the smell of the golden cicada fruit from the book, then she obviously also knew about it. Is there really a golden cicada fruit? Ning Cheng's tone was somewhat excited. Chapter 36. Is there really a golden cicada fruit? Ning Cheng asked in a somewhat excited tone. He didn't want to go to the middle of Lansha Island, not because he didn't like the golden cicada fruit, but because he knew that it was useless for him to go there. His cultivation was too low, so he would not be able to snatch the golden cicada fruit. Moreover, he also doubted whether the golden cicada fruit really existed. Looking at the people who came out of the Clear Heart Academy, even the worst among them was at the Qi gathering 6th level. What could he use to snatch the golden cicada fruit from the others? That's not right, An Yi. Today does not seem to be the 15th of the month. How can there be an aroma of the golden cicada fruit? Did that Taoist Pu lie to us? Ning Cheng immediately remembered that Taoist Pu had said that they could only enter the array on the 15th day of the month. Big brother Ning. An Yi called out to Ning Cheng. She could see from Ning Cheng's eyes what Ning Cheng wanted to do. If he had not smelled the fragrance of the golden cicada fruit, then Ning Cheng would certainly not have moved. In his opinion, even if there was a golden cicada fruit here, it was not something that he could obtain. Perhaps he would not even be able to find the golden cicada fruit. But now it was different. He could clearly smell the golden cicada fruit. This meant that as long as he followed this scent, he would be able to find the golden cicada fruit. The question of whether he should go or not was directly ignored by Ning Cheng. Cultivating in this place, if the golden cicada fruit was placed in front of him, and he was indifferent, then how could he dare to say that it was an opportunity? What was an opportunity? This was an opportunity. In a place like the Ping continent, the golden cicada fruit was one of the most valuable spiritual fruits, as it could allow a cultivator at the Qi gathering realm to advance to the true condensation realm. How could he give up on such a thing? If he gave up this time, he might never see it again. What's more, the golden cicada fruit might have ripened and there was no one here, and he just happened to run into it. An Yi, I decided to look for the golden cicada fruit. You stay here and wait for me. If I do not come back, you will have to wait for the spirit stones to run out, and then find an opportunity to leave the Lansha Island. Ning Cheng made up his mind and spoke. What made Ning Cheng surprised, was that An Yi, who had always been obedient to him, directly put away the praying mat on the ground and said, "Big brother Ning, I will go with you. Now that you're gone, I'll be very lonely here. I'm very afraid of those spirit weapons." Ning Cheng grabbed his hair and said, "An Yi, I told you, I have always wanted to go back to my hometown. My hometown is very far away. If my cultivation is low, I won't be able to go back. I don't know how far I need to cultivate before I can go back, but I don't want to give up, so I don't want to let go of any opportunity to advance." I knew that the chance of going back was slim, but no matter how slim it was, I had to try. This time I'm going to look for the golden cicada fruit. I'm definitely going to die, but I can't give up this opportunity, I must go. But you're different. Your hometown is here, so there's no need for you to go with me. Big brother Ning, why must you go back to your hometown? Isn't the Ping continent very good? We can go to another country. Previously in the Mingot city, the person from the Clear Heart Academy had said that the Clear Heart Academy was recruiting students, and that they could go to the Clear Heart Academy. Is it because your girlfriend is in your hometown, so you are worried? Annie carefully asked. Ning Cheng shook his head. It's not because of her, it's because of my younger sister. I have a sister here, now without me, she must be very worried. Unfortunately, I could not return to her side. So I want to cultivate hard. Maybe one day when my cultivation is high enough, I can go back. Big brother Ning, I will go with you to look for the golden cicada fruit. After Annie listened to Mo's words, she simply said a sentence, and did not use any other reason to explain. Ning Cheng looked at Annie's firm eyes, and knew that persuasion would be useless. So he nodded and said, well, you must always follow me. The two of us together, even if we die, we will not be lonely. Since Ning Cheng knew that even if he cultivated to the essence-building realm, he would not be able to go from the Ping continent to the Hua continent, he knew that his hope of going back to Earth was extremely slim. As he said, even if it was slim, he did not want to give up. If he did not give up, then there was still a little chance. If he gave up, then he would not have even half a chance. The heavens had given him a chance, and let him obtain the mysterious yellow bead. The mysterious yellow bead was heaven-defying, but it also required countless spirit stones to support his cultivation, and also required a lot of spiritual grasses. He did not have any relatives or friends here, he could not even join a sect or an academy. If he did not go all out to look for the spiritual objects, then who would help him? Besides, even if he was a disciple of an academy, there was no such thing as an academy, where he could use piles of spirit stones to boost his cultivation. Ning Cheng brought Annie out of the reef cave, and carefully walked in the direction of the golden cicada fruit's fragrance. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the vague fog once again shrouded them, and the distance between Ning Cheng and Annie became indistinct. Ning Cheng grabbed Annie's hand. He knew that once they got lost in this place, then the two of them would never be able to meet again. Pada, pada. The sound of footsteps could be heard. Ning Cheng and Annie immediately stopped. The footsteps were getting closer and closer, but what made Ning Cheng horrified, was that he could not see anyone's shadow, he could only hear the sound of continuous footsteps. Suddenly, the footsteps stopped. It seemed that they were just a few meters in front of Ning Cheng. Annie subconsciously stuck close to Ning Cheng. She was the same as Ning Cheng, she also could not see who the footsteps were from. A cold and gloomy air invaded them. In front of Ning Cheng's eyes suddenly appeared a bright and clear path. Ning Cheng was just about to pull Annie onto that path, when the mysterious yellow bead in his zifu once again emitted out an aura. That cold and gloomy feeling that invaded Ning Cheng's body instantly disappeared, and then Ning Cheng heard the pada-pada sound of footsteps getting further and further away. Big brother Ning, I just saw a path, but soon the path disappeared. Was it fake? Annie already understood that the path that she and Ning Cheng had just seen was fake. Ning Cheng said in a deep voice, this Mingot Sea area and this Lansha Island are somewhat strange, the previous soul weapons, the headless man, and the footsteps without a shadow. We can't go on like this, you wait. Ning Cheng slightly hesitated for a moment, and then said, let's go according to the route map that Taoist Pu gave us. I feel that the route map that he gave us is real. Annie nodded, and did not speak again. Ning Cheng recalled the route map that Taoist Pu had given him, and immediately changed his direction. He had already memorized the route map, and now that he knew a thing or two about formations, it only took him a few steps to find a real winding path. When Ning Cheng and Annie found this winding trail, although the fog around them was still there, but it was obviously a lot thinner. Not only that, but the fragrance of the golden cicada fruit was getting stronger and stronger. The route map is correct, let's hurry up. Ning Qing pulled an E tightly, and from time to time turned around on the curved path. Their speed was getting faster and faster, and along the way they did not see any strange things. After an hour, Ning Cheng and an E stopped. There was no more road in front of them. The route map that Taoist Pu had given them was only up to here. There is no more road. Ning Cheng stared at the curved path in front of him, and said with a frown. He also knew that there was indeed an array formation here, but unfortunately, this array formation was too advanced, and he had no way to find the real road. Big Brother Ning, the fragrance of the golden cicada fruit seems to be gone. An E suddenly said. Ning Cheng had been carefully paying attention to the road in front of him, and did not notice the fragrance of the golden cicada fruit. At this time when an E said it, he reacted. He did not know when the fragrance of the golden cicada fruit had disappeared, but he did not notice it. An E, you stay close to me, I will go down this road. If something goes wrong, we will immediately come back. Ning Cheng carefully warned an E, and carefully stepped out of the curved path. Boom! Ning Cheng had just stepped out of the path, when he heard a muffled sound in front of him. At this time Ning Cheng's attention was extremely focused. When he heard this muffled sound, he immediately wanted to return to the original path, but when he looked back at the path, he found that the path had disappeared. It was as if it had been taken away out of thin air, and there were only some weeds and stones around him. An E. Ning Cheng felt that something was wrong, when he unexpectedly found that an E had disappeared. All around him was a vague haze. Where was the shadow of an E? Chapter 37. Ning Cheng also did not intend to leave. The golden cicada fruit was right in front of him. He was not the kind of person who would give up out of courtesy. Moreover, Ning Cheng vaguely felt that there was something wrong with this Taoist Pu. The map and the array talismans were all provided by this Taoist Pu, but the things were divided equally. He believed that this Taoist Pu was not a noble person. But now that 8 people were going in together, he could not think what kind of trick Taoist Pu would use to make the other 7 people work for him. Taoist Pu was too lazy to remind this guy about the role of the true ignition array talisman. If not for this array talisman, the path on the array formation map would inexplicably disappear. Fortunately, they were already in front of the wall. Even if they lost the talisman, it should not be a big problem. At this moment, Ning Cheng did not even think about whether this voice was real or not, and directly rushed towards the source of the voice. Then he vaguely saw the frightened and uneasy an E in the haze. An E was not even 2 meters away from him. Taoist Pu took the lead and walked to the unlatched door, and carefully pushed it open. The unlatched door creaked. The sound was not loud, but it was painful as if it had pierced his heart. The few figures came down from the winding path, and walked to the front of the dark red-walled courtyard on the bluestone paved road. When Ning Cheng was able to see them clearly. This time, there were a total of 8 people. Among these 8 people, Ning Cheng unexpectedly knew 4 of them. Taoist Pu, Feng Fei Zhang, Miao Xiaoming and Tian Fei. Taoist Pu did not continue to explain, and just said, when we enter the courtyard, do not rush inside, listen to my instructions. The 8 of us will each occupy a corner, and together we will break the golden cicada fruit's defensive array formation. An Yi's hand was very cold, but after Ning Cheng grabbed her hand, the mysterious yellow beads aura automatically expelled the cold from her hand. At this time Ning Cheng had the time to think about why an E had suddenly disappeared from his side, and why he was able to find her without any problems. The bluestone path led to the dark red-walled gate, which was unlatched. The fragrance of the golden cicada fruit, which had not appeared for a long time, once again spread out. This time Ning Cheng could feel it very clearly. The fragrance of the golden cicada fruit was drifting out from the inside of the wall. Ning Cheng was startled. He did not even think about it, and directly used a fire edge to chop it down. After a sharp cry, the vague figure disappeared without a trace in Ning Cheng's fireball. Taoist Pu sneered and said, Shui Sinian, don't blame me for not reminding you. In this place, even if you disappear inexplicably, it is a very normal thing. Between the 8 of us, there is a true ignition array talisman. Otherwise, you might have disappeared the moment you came down. Ning Cheng was just about to speak, when the gate of the walled courtyard once again issued a squeak sound, as Taoist Pu crazily rushed out from the inside. At this time, Taoist Pu's hair was disheveled. Where was the calm appearance he had when he first entered? Big Brother Ning. A frightened voice came. Ning Cheng immediately knew that this voice belonged to an E. In front of him and an E, a dark red wall suddenly appeared. This wall seemed to be boundless, and one simply could not see the end of it. As for what was behind the wall, he couldn't see it either. At this time, he and an E were standing on a bluestone road in front of the gate. Logically speaking, it was impossible for him to find such a strange disappearance so easily. Big Brother Ning, I always feel that someone is calling me, asking me to enter the red-walled courtyard. If you had not caught me, I am afraid that I would not have been able to bear it. An E whispered in Ning Cheng's ear. This is. Ning Cheng had just warned an E, when he was once again shocked by the scene in front of him. Was this the spiritual sense projection? Ning Cheng had just thought of the projection, when the scene within a meter of him, once again disappeared. Taoist Pu nodded and said, now there are a lot of people who have obtained the map of the Lansha Island, but they all think that only the 15th can come in. They absolutely do not know, that the golden cicada fruit matures on the 10th of the month. Unfortunately, they do not have the true ignition array talisman. Even if they knew, they would also die. Today is the 9th of the month. It is the best time to break the array. When we take away the golden cicada fruit, they should have already arrived. Ning Cheng was suddenly shocked in his heart. If an E was lost in this place, how could he find her? It would only be a narrow escape from death. That's right, this is the fragrance of the golden cicada fruit. It really is here, and is surrounded by a walled courtyard. When there was no fragrance, I thought that we had gone the wrong way. A squinting chi-gathering third-level cultivator stepped on the bluestone road, and called out in a pleasantly surprised voice. The next day, Ning Cheng and an E did not hear even half a sound. The 8 people who entered the walled courtyard, were like mud falling into the sea. There was no sound. Ning Cheng was getting more and more uncertain in his heart. If he continued to stay here and wait, maybe in a few days there would be a lot of people who would come to the island. Moreover, he always had a vague feeling, that there seemed to be a pair of eyes staring at him and an E in the midst of the fog. Ning Cheng took out a thin rope and tied an E's wrist to his wrist and said, an E, you and I walk side by side, so that I can't see you. At this time he forcibly revolved his spiritual sense. He wanted to see if he could see the things around him. The next moment, the scene within a meter of him appeared in his consciousness. This is not right. Ning Cheng's mind at this moment was very clear. He found that he could clearly see the dark red front yard in front of him. He could also clearly see the path in front of him. But the scene around him, as well as the scene behind him, he could not see it clearly. Time passed by as they waited. On the first day, Ning Cheng and an E could only hear bursts of muffled sounds coming from the dark red walls of the courtyard. The muffled sounds were very loud, and the interval between the muffled sounds was very short. As time went on, the muffled sounds became longer and longer, and the sounds were getting smaller and smaller. Brother Shui, I think that Brother Pu is not trying to remind you of his array formation map, but to remind you not to lose the true ignition array talisman. Feng Fei Zhang already understood the meaning of Taoist Pu. Ning Cheng rushed in front of an E, raised his hand and once again grabbed an Yi's hand. What's going on, an E? I clearly grabbed your hand before. How did you end up here? After an E was grabbed by Ning Cheng, her pale face finally recovered some of its rosy color. She subconsciously moved closer to Ning Cheng, and said, when I came down from the winding path, I found that you were no longer by my side. Then I saw a huge black claw grabbing at me. I unexpectedly could not speak. Just as I was about to be grabbed by the pitch-black claw, a yellow light suddenly appeared in front of my chest and blocked the pitch-black claw. Only then did I cry out. What's going on? Big Brother Ning. Even if an E did not understand why Ning Cheng suddenly used the fire edge, but that sharp cry was still very clear to her. Ning Cheng waved his hand, and once again released his spiritual sense. A few vague figures appeared in the range of his spiritual sense. Ning Cheng could feel the aura of life from these figures. He immediately knew that these figures were different from the previous one. There should be other people who had entered this place. But these people had not seen him yet. Ning Cheng hurriedly took a few steps, and hid behind a piece of withered grass. Whether it was or not, this place was somewhat strange. Ning Cheng cursed Taoist Pu in his heart for being shameless, before he had also told him that he was 15, but fortunately he had come to the Lansha Island first. Moreover, this guy also had the true ignition talisman, which he did not reveal at all. Because of this, an E almost disappeared. After the 8 people came to the Bluestone Road, they immediately saw the dark red walls of the courtyard, and also saw the unlatched door. Of course we will listen to Brother Pu's instructions. Brother Pu can just say it. Miao Xiaoming immediately said, indicating that he insisted on standing on the side of Taoist Pu. Looking at the 8 people flashing through the unlatched door, Ning Cheng immediately dispelled the idea of going in. They had not even entered the courtyard, and there were already so many strange things happening. Once they went in, would there still be any good things? He was not afraid of things, but because his cultivation level was too low, he was only at the Qi gathering 4th level. Although the golden cicada fruit was good, but if it was possible to fight for it, it was not worthwhile for him to risk his life for it. Ning Cheng was relieved, although these figures could not be seen with the naked eye, but once they were detected by his spiritual sense, he could just use a fireball to deal with them. From this, it could be seen that the use of spiritual sense was much more powerful than sight. At this moment, Ning Cheng made up his mind, in the future when he cultivated, he must not neglect his spiritual sense. Before when they were in the beast carriage, Taoist Pu had threatened him to team up with them. Now that he did not take revenge, then he would not be Ning Cheng. What's more, if Taoist Pu came out of this courtyard, he would definitely get some good things. Do we want to go in? An E asked in a low voice. She suddenly did not want to go into the dark red wall. She always felt that this wall was somewhat strange. There were 2 other reasons why Ning Cheng did not want to go. One was that he did not know how to get out of this place, and the other was that he wanted to kill Taoist Pu. Ning Cheng waved his hand, and once again forcibly released his spiritual sense. This time the scope of his inspection seemed to be a bit bigger. It had already reached about 1.5 meters. A vague figure appeared in his spiritual sense. This figure seemed to be staring at him and an E, moreover it did not have any signs of life. Big Brother Ning, the golden cicada fruit is inside the courtyard with the red walls. Is this the place where a senior once lived? An E whispered in Ning Cheng's ear. Yes, what Brother Pu said is right. This time without Brother Pu's array formation diagram, we would not have been able to come here. As for Brother Pu's warning, I already know about it. The narrow-eyed cultivator thought that Taoist Pu wanted to reiterate his role, and quickly repeated the words that he had said many times before. The yellow light on her chest. Ning Cheng immediately remembered the yellow jade pendant that An Yi's master had left for An Yi before she died. That jade pendant was hanging on An Yi's chest. Was this the jade pendant that protected An Yi? Ning Cheng forcibly revolved his spiritual sense, although he did not cultivate the profound wishful wood's secret art, but from the cultivation method he knew, if a Qi-gathering cultivator's spiritual sense was strong enough, then they would be able to release their spiritual sense, and would be able to see more clearly than with their eyes. Chapter 38. Although Taoist Pu's hair was disheveled, but the excitement in his eyes was hard to contain. He crazily rushed out from Ning Cheng's side, and did not pay attention to Ning Cheng and An Yi who were hiding on the side. A thick spiritual qi was emitting from the cloth bag on his back. This kind of spiritual qi was very familiar to Ning Cheng. It was the spiritual qi from the spirit stones. Ning Cheng had been waiting for Taoist Pu for a long time. When Taoist Pu came out, he almost immediately brought an E along with him. At this time Ning Qing no longer cared about the consumption of his qi, as his spiritual sense directly fell onto Taoist Pu's body. Before this, Ning Qing really did not put Taoist Pu in his eyes. However, when his spiritual will swept across Taoist Pu's body, his heart immediately tightened. In front of him was this Taoist Pu at the qi gathering 3rd level, he was clearly a guy at the qi gathering 7th level. He did not know where this person came from, but unexpectedly had such a formidable concealment cultivation method, so that Ning Qing was not able to see that he was at the qi gathering 7th level. Qi gathering 7th level was already at the late stages of the qi gathering realm. This guy's concealment was really too deep. After knowing that this Taoist Pu was at the qi gathering 7th level, Ning Qing was no longer as calm as before. He was sure that once this Taoist Pu came out of the haze, he would be the first to discover him. At this moment, the reason why Taoist Pu did not notice him was because Taoist Pu was unable to release his spiritual will, and also because Taoist Pu did not think that there would be someone specifically waiting for him here. I can't let this person lead the way. Ning Qing did not hesitate to take out his flying sword type artifact, and suddenly sped up a step forward. The flying sword in his hands swept out with a sword light. Taoist Pu had been to the Lansha Island more than 10 times. He was very clear that although this place looked very scary, in fact, as long as one was proficient in array formations, one would be able to master a way to avoid being targeted by evil spirits. Of course, the prerequisite was to not enter the red-walled courtyard and not go to the back of the courtyard. However, Taoist Pu was extremely confident in himself in this Lansha Island, but he was also extremely careful, plus his cultivation was far beyond Ning Cheng's. Ning Cheng's flying sword light had just swept out, when he perceived it, and simultaneously twisted his body. Poof! A bloody light flashed. Taoist Pu unexpectedly managed to escape the fate of being cut in half by Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's flying sword had directly split his waist in half, however, it did not take away his life, but only seriously injured him. An Yi and Ning Cheng had been together for a long time, and had also protected Ning Cheng at sea for a few days. As such she was much more seasoned compared to when she had just come out. Almost in the next moment when Ning Cheng started, she had already thrown out 3 wind edges, while simultaneously untying the thin thread tied to her wrist by Ning Cheng. Taoist Pu narrowly escaped Ning Cheng's deadly sword light, but was hit by several of An Yi's wind edges. However, these few wind edges only caused Taoist Pu's injuries to worsen, and did not take his life. Taoist Pu staggered a few steps before he finally stopped. At this time Ning Cheng discovered that he and Taoist Pu had already come out of the haze, and had arrived at a winding trail. As for whether or not this trail was the same as the one he had used to get here, Ning Cheng did not care about it. He guessed that since Taoist Pu took this path, it meant that this path was the way out. "It's you." Taoist Pu forcibly used his qi to stop his injuries, but when he turned around he saw Ning Cheng carrying a flying sword. Ning Cheng did not answer. The flying sword in his hands once again brought out a sword light, while at the same time a few more flame edges flew out. Striking the iron while it's hot, Taoist Pu was already at the qi gathering 7th level. Once he recovered, he and An Yi would definitely not feel good. Taoist Pu's face was pale. He saw that Ning Cheng did not say a single word and continued to attack. He understood that Ning Cheng was determined to kill him without a doubt. There was no point in talking nonsense. Almost at the same time, he pulled out a scimitar. Once again, Ning Cheng's sword light swept towards him. He was not reconciled. As for Ning Cheng wanting to kill him, he certainly understood. Before in the beast carriage, if Ning Cheng dared to disagree with his proposal to form a team, he would have immediately killed Ning Cheng on the grounds that it was a secret that could not be leaked out. What he was not reconciled to was that before he came to the Lansha Island, he had just advanced to the qi gathering 7th level. This time he had obtained a large number of extremely precious spirit stones. Advancing to the true condensation realm was only a matter of time for him. But at this critical juncture, he was ambushed by Ning Cheng. He did not understand how Ning Cheng was able to remain safe and sound in the Lansha Island, there were illusory arrays and real evil spirits, as well as some evil spirit soldiers. He did not know the specific situation of the array formations. Even if an essence-building cultivator came, they would not necessarily be able to get a good result. Even if Ning Cheng knew the route map, how could he hide here for many days to ambush him, and not be discovered by the evil spirits? Dang, a sound was heard, the sword light splashed. Ning Cheng was forced to retreat a few steps, but Ning Cheng did not stop for even half a moment. The flying sword in his hands once again turned into a sword light. You unexpectedly also have an artifact. At this time Taoist Pu came to his senses. Ning Cheng was using a good quality artifact. Although he was seriously injured before, but he did not panic. He had the cultivation of Qi gathering 7th level. Even if he was seriously injured, he could still rely on the artifact in his hands to kill Ning Cheng and An Yi. Now that Ning Cheng also had an artifact, and even better than his artifact, Taoist Pu's eyes showed a little panic. Because he also felt that Ning Cheng's cultivation was not only at the Qi gathering 4th level. At this time, An Yi's several wind edges once again flew over. Taoist Pu had to avoid An Yi's wind edges, while at the same time Ning Cheng's sword light once again fell. Taoist Pu once again wanted to use the scimitar-type artifact in his hands, but he had just gathered his Qi, when he felt a sharp pain in his waist. He had not stopped bleeding a moment ago, and a blood mist once again sprayed out from the wound. The speed of the scimitar immediately slowed down, and at this time Ning Cheng's sword light had already fallen. The flying sword light split Taoist Pu into 2 halves from his shoulder to his waist. Taoist Pu was extremely unwilling to fall down. Ning Cheng gasped for breath, and immediately rushed up. He picked up the package on Taoist Pu's back and threw it into his storage bag, and then used a fireball to burn Taoist Pu to ashes. He said to An Yi, let's hurry up, I guess that the people from the Mingot city will come soon. The two of them ran along the winding path, and in less than half an hour, the two of them once again saw the reef on the beach. This was not the place where the two of them had entered the Lansha Island, but rather on the other side. A small wooden boat was anchored at the edge of the island. Ning Cheng was happy in his heart. This boat definitely belonged to Taoist Pu. At the bow of the boat there was a pile of materials from the sea beasts. These materials must have been left behind by Taoist Pu. Ning Cheng did not understand. Taoist Pu was a late-stage Qi gathering cultivator. How could he put these ordinary materials from the sea beasts in his eyes? These materials from the sea beasts, Ning Cheng did not throw them away. He just pushed the materials to the side, and then quickly sailed away from the Lansha Island. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Ning Cheng and An Yi controlled the wooden boat and left the Lansha Island behind them. Until this time An Yi sighed and said, Big brother Ning, my heart was suppressed on that island. I always had a very bad feeling. Ning Cheng nodded, I am the same as you. I always felt that the island was definitely not so simple. In the future, when our cultivation is high enough, we can come back to have a look. An Yi, your jade pendant should also be a good magic weapon. You have to be careful with it, don't let others find it. An Yi replied, I know. Once again returning to the sea, Ning Cheng first took out the cloth bag from his storage bag. He wanted to see his spoils of war. Opening the cloth bag, a white shining spirit stones made Ning Cheng pleasantly surprised. This small pile of spirit stones, there were at least 400 or 500 pieces. Moreover, they were exactly the same as the spirit stones that he had obtained before, but some of the spirit stones were missing a bit. But this did not affect his cultivation. An Yi, we are rich, this is a real windfall. Ning Cheng beamed with joy. What he lacked the most was spirit stones. There were nearly 500 spirit stones in here. If he used 100 spirit stones to advance to the next level, maybe he would be able to cultivate to the great circle of the Qi gathering realm. Ning Cheng also knew that using 100 spirit stones to advance to the next level, it was just a beautiful wish in his heart. Even if he did not cultivate to the later levels, he could guess that the spirit stones that he would need for his cultivation would be more and more. Ning Cheng was about to distribute the spirit stones, when An Yi stopped his actions and said, Big brother Ning, the spirit stones that you gave me last time, I have not finished using them. Moreover, you will need more spirit stones for your cultivation. When I finish using them, I will ask you again. Ning Cheng also thought that it was true. Anyway, an E had always been with him, it would be the same no matter who it was. After putting away all the spirit stones, Ning Cheng found a jade box at the bottom of the cloth bag. When the jade box was opened, a familiar fragrance assailed their nostrils. Golden cicada fruit. Ning Cheng and an E simultaneously called out. In the jade box in Ning Cheng's hands, there was a blue-colored fruit. This fruit also had two wings shape, but the wings shape had a hint of gold on them. No wonder it was called golden cicada fruit. Ning Cheng quickly covered the jade box. That Taoist Pu really had a big mouth. That bastard said that there were a lot of golden cicada fruits. Now I only see this one. After Ning Cheng put away the golden cicada fruit, he was glad in his heart that he did not fall into that guy's trap. Although this time he went out to sea in a hurry, but Ning Cheng was very satisfied. At least his harvest was good. The only regret was that he had no way to save Feng Fei Zhang, who he had a good impression of. He knew that with his ability, being able to escape from the Lansha Island was already a stroke of luck. If he wanted to save Feng Fei Zhang, his strength was simply not enough. After being happy, Ning Cheng and an E soon became entangled. They were lost. In this boundless sea, the two of them simply did not know which direction to go. The Mingat Sea was always gloomy all year round, without any indication of direction. A few days passed by. Ning Cheng was a little anxious in his heart. Not only did he not find the edge of the Mingat Sea, he did not even find an island. Big brother Ning, there is a ship coming. An E was not as anxious as Ning Cheng. Instead, Ning Cheng was the first to see a ship. That ship was heading towards their direction. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.